I'm gonna need that. This is so hard. Oh dear. Holy crap! That's a really long one! Oh! Hey, what's up? How's it going, guys? How you doing? What's up, Ed? Nico, Bozo, hello. Dan Bear, hello. Penguin Butt, hello. Mr. Gore, this is Orange. Orange has turned into my shadow. He has a severe case of papitis. He follows me everywhere, and now he is practicing personal hygiene, apparently. Good job, Orange. Good job, Orange. Yeah. Happy Friday, folks. The months are flying by. Wow. Thanks, Stream Elements. Holy mackerel. I'm gonna have to put a cooldown on that. It's a good time to take care of that. Where is that thing? Live streaming? Stream elements. You need a cooldown. Custom commands? There we go. Where are the advanced settings? There we go. Global cooldown. There we go. Save. I have fixed it. Ha! Pickle, what's up? Zadia, hello. Yeah, Stream Elements is getting a timeout. What's up, Tashio? Stephanie, hello. Jordan, what's up? Free Halo, CK. Little guy. Well, come here. Little guy is asking for it. Little guy. What's up, little guy? Little guy. Little guy. Where you going? Where you going, little guy? Little guy. Orange. Look at Orange is like frozen. He's like, I was interrupted. I was cleaning my belly and I got interrupted. Orange. He's jealous. What's up, little guy? Little guy. Nobody's rubbing your belly. Look at this. I gotta rub his belly. I have to rub his belly. What are you doing? What are you doing? Little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Little guy. What's up, Orange? Orange. All right, little guy. That's it. That's it, little guy. He always wants his belly rubbed. No, we're not. Yes, the cat cam is a great bonus feature. I failed my resist charm spell. I totally did. Little guy totally. His DC is like 21 or something. It is very, very hard. Yeah. CK, my wife is good, dude. She came home like about a week or so ago. I forget what it was. She's like, I think I have COVID. She was feeling horrible. I'm like, oh, great. So we go the next day. By the next day, she was feeling much better already. And we go get like a fast test and it's negative. And then the day after that, she's perfectly fine, pretty much. It's like, ah, I'm dying. And then the next day, oh, you know what? I'm okay. Pickle's gonna DM for a min-maxer for the first time. Well, you know what? If they're min-maxing, Pickle, as the dungeon master, your ability to min-max far exceeds your player's ability to min-max. Never forget that. Oh, you're gonna start a session, Big Salad Bar? Ooh, I love salad bars. I love salad bars, dude. Oh, so good. The place I work has a salad bar. It's amazing. There's when I get stuff at the salad bar, what I end up getting is less salad and more like hummus and meat and like potato salad. But you know, it's at the salad bar. Oh, thanks for coming, STBDM Elite. It's a hard name to say. Mommy. Jeez, mommy. All right, we should kick this. Oh, I got coffee. I need coffee. My coffee's empty. Mommy. Mommy cat's bothering me. Here comes little guy again. Little guy, nobody's rubbing your belly. No, nobody. You just got your belly rubbed. I was gonna start. Let's get a cup of coffee here. Oh, this is gonna annoy me. I have automatic exposure on my camera because I had these bright lights behind me because I didn't close my curtains, and now my camera's automatic exposure is constantly adjusting itself, and it's really annoying to me. So once it gets dark out, I'm gonna adjust my exposure and make it manual because that's gonna annoy me the whole stream. It probably will annoy other people too. All right, we're gonna start. Whee! Where's the button? Where's the button? That's a good button. Yay. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so live stream, that's what we're doing tonight. 3 hours or so. Hit your questions this away. I answer them. That's what we do around here. We have lots of cats. They have already begun swarming. We will be doing cat strikes tonight. We'll be doing cat trips tonight. So we have lots of kitties going on stream. They're bugging the crap out of me already. So anyway, throw your Dungeon Master D&D questions. There's a format for it. Most people are already following it. Then my moderators are Mommy Cat. She's look at her just tagging me. She's like, I want my kisses. Give me attention. I don't care what you're doing. My moderators will grab your questions and throw them into a spreadsheet where I will then be able to answer them. So spamming is probably a bad idea. I know Penguin Butt is here tonight and she loves smoking spammers. So I would just not doing that. So yeah, but anyway, there you go. Have some fun. My moderators love it on YouTube. Okay, mommy cat. Do you guys see her on the cat cam? She's freaking out on me. Mommy. She just wants attention. This is mommy cat right here. She's just freaking out on me. Little guy, they all want attention. All right, let's get into stuff. Yes, mommy, I know. I got one hand's got to stay down here and pet her to keep her satisfied. Otherwise, she just paws at me. She's like, paw at me. Okay, cool. So I have some shameless plugs to do, and we also have a giveaway going on this evening as well. I will get into that in a little bit or so. First things first. What's my first thing I gotta do? Oh yeah. I'm gonna plug my Patreon PDF because it's really, really cool. We actually just released the April issue of the PDF, and it has a whole crap ton of awesome Dungeon Master resources in it. There are some screenshots here you can see from the February one, I think, something like that. But I can show you the I can show you the next one we just did. So this is the Patreon PDF we just put out right here. It is too big and you can't see it all. So this is the one we just put out for April. It was just released. It has in it 2 complete D&D 5th edition adventures. It has the Undying Brain for level 7 and the Bloodstone Strike for level 4. I just actually ran the Bloodstone Strike for some of my moderators this last Tuesday, and you can find that on my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams right now. They ran through that adventure and I almost TPK'd them. They managed to survive. It came down to the last character had 3 hit points remaining and he defeated the last enemy and they ended up winning. It was very, very close on that. So it's got 2 complete 5th edition adventures in it, and it has a bunch of puzzles in there. It has magic armor, traps, adventure ideas, a whole bunches and bunches of Dungeon Master resources. Let me show you some of these. These are some examples of some of the maps we have. All the maps in these adventures and the encounters here, there are also encounters in this one that I publish, are designed for virtual tabletop use. So the image files come included with the PDF, so you can put it in Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, whatever you want to use. So it's already all hooked up for you to play online. And then obviously it's got the adventures. Like here's an example of the map for the adventure, the Undying Brain. And then let me show you the one for the Bloodstone Strike. So this is the map for Bloodstone Strike right here. This map here was created by the Mad Cartographer, does crazy awesome maps. The other one was by a published author. So the April issue is out now. There's links. I'm sure my moderators have been spamming the links to my Patreon if you guys want to check that out. So very, very cool stuff. Every single month my patrons get this PDF full of Dungeon Master resources. So you should go check that crap out. It's a beautiful thing. And then we're gonna show some awesome people on screen right here. These folks are my patrons. They help support what I do around here, keep the lights on, and they get this PDF every single month. So they're very, very cool. There's some coffee right there. And you're in Germany? Oh, nice, dude. Saturday hangout. Awesome. I studied German in college for like a year or so. So I know a little bit. A tiny bit, not a whole lot. I won't embarrass myself on stream. Ich möchte ein Glas Bier, bitte. that's I could say a little bit more, but that's my favorite one. That's the most important one for me if I were to ever whenever I travel anywhere, probably. Anyway, these folks on here are some more patrons. These awesome folks here get their names shouted out. So here we go. 5e Magic Shop, Arutha, Beoban, Biddy B, Brad A, Brian C, Bran S, Candy Sora, Chris H, Chris Y, Cody, Barbar Wizard, Question Mark, Dresna, Edward L, Ed R, Eric S, Fallon Goliath Cleric, Hydra Slayer, Ian R, Izzy T, Jacob S, Jake L, James L, Jeremy W, Joel L, Joshua G, Josue S, Kale S, Karen C, Kevin W, Kezadies, Kyle M, Kurt Y, Kiriako, Leopold X92, Lord Kimiak, Lori S, Luke G, Mad Quad, Michael C, Munlo, V, Owen D, Paul B, Paul R, Penguin Butt, published author, Race W, Rachel S, Ramsey M, Robert W, Rock and Roll Joe, Ron H, Ryan G, Sakura, Scott C, Simon, Snapbragger, Sophie M, Son of a Sofa Man, Stetson H, Stephen F, Tactical Tokens, The Old DM, The Pickle, Tar, Theta Tag 3, Zool, Tim Black, Tom M, Tony M, To the Nail Rules, Tyler N, Tyler R, Xavier H, William L, boom, bam, there you go. All right, sweetness. All right, let's get the show on the road then. We do have a giveaway. We're gonna hit the giveaway in just a little bit. I want to get a few questions under us and let folks trickle in, and then I will be talking about the giveaway and the sponsor of this live stream, RPG Sounds. Very cool audio program, but I'll talk about that in a little bit because you guys are all like, Luke, stop talking about stuff and answer our questions before we riot on you. Which is fair. I get comments on all my videos. They're like, it's 8 minutes into the video and you haven't started yet. I'm like, whatever, dude. Scrub ahead. You see that little button there? Scrub ahead. You can do it. I believe in you. I love those comments. I'm just like, it's YouTube, buddy. We can figure this out. Okay, I should stop making fun of people that leave dumb comments. Actually, dumb comments are awesome. Leave all the dumb comments you want. The algorithm loves dumb comments. All right, rock and roll. As a DM, I have no problem running villages or small towns, but running big cities intimidates me. Yeah, that's because they're big and they have lots of information, lots of different stuff in there, and you can't possibly memorize it all. I've been running most of my campaigns in the Waterdeep area in Forgotten Realms for years, and I still don't know all the details of Waterdeep. You know, heaven forbid my players want to like really explore the city. I don't want to do that. It'd be crazy. But anyway, yeah, and big cities are rough. Absolutely. So how do you run them, or do you just hand wave it and say the PC's find what they're looking for? Say the PC's find what they're looking for. It depends. There are some areas of the city that I'm more familiar with than others. You need to have a general overview of the city in question. So I know the different wards. I know, there's Castle Ward, there's Trade Ward, there's Sea Ward, there's South Ward and Dock Ward, or Southern, I think it's called Southern Ward actually. So there are the different wards. I have a general idea of what's located in each. I kind of know the feel, the atmosphere of each. I know what you can find in each one. So there's also Cemetery Ward. What do they call that one? I forget the name of it. There's a whole ward that's basically a cemetery too. I forget the name of that one. But anyway, I have a general idea of what they kind of are. And if the PCs are like, yeah, we want to go to a temple, I'm like, oh, that's probably in Sea Ward or North Ward. Maybe Castle Ward. Those are probably where you're going to find temples, And I keep a list in OneNote of different places also that are pretty important, that are well traversed by players. So I really I have a general overview of things. I kind of have an idea of stuff. I do the best I can. And if they want to go somewhere that I'm not familiar with, that I don't know that exists, I might just make it up on the spot. Rule that there is, of course there's a Temple of Torm. Yeah, you can go to a Temple of Torm. I actually don't think there's a Temple of Torm, but I created a Temple of Torm in my city of Waterdeep because my players once wanted to go there, and I said, yeah, there's a Temple of Torm. And then I made some stuff up so they could play the game session. Afterwards, I looked it up, and there's no Temple of Torm. So I was like, okay, I guess there's one now. So sometimes you just got to roll with it, and just kind of go with the flow. And then you make notes afterwards and you just kind of develop your own little city. But it is more challenging. You have to be more willing to zoom out a little bit, right? If you're running a very small town, you know all the names of the tavern, all the names of the buildings, the shopkeepers. You can have those details for a small town. When you're running a big city, it's much more challenging to do that sort of thing. Unless you're just in like the adventurer's ward or the adventurer's quarters in like Southern Ward. And then you might have some of those shops and things and the personages in them detailed out. But it is more challenging to do that for a large city. So you have to be okay with just, zooming out a little bit and not worrying about all the details, or making details up on the spot, or guiding the players to certain places and saying, hey, your home base is Troll Skull Manor. So I will know all the different areas around Troll Skull Manor. So if you want to go buy some stuff and all that kind of things. So there are some ideas about it. It's certainly more challenging. I just kind of roll with it and wing it a lot of times. I don't spend a lot of time looking crap up though. That just drags the game down. Oh, crap. Gotta start. There we go. Messed that up. Forgot to start my recording. You see my exposure's all messed up on my camera. It's so messed up. I should have closed my curtains, but I didn't. I was too lazy. See, now it changes. Ah, it's so annoying. Ah, I should have put manual exposure on. It's so annoying to me. Anyway, do you have a way to balance single high-level monsters? Yes, I do. You don't run single high-level monsters. They need minions, they need buddies. That's how you balance them. That's the actual answer. It's not the there are ways you can do it, but it's more challenging. Let me read the rest of the question, then I'll answer your question. I run into a problem if I'm using a single enemy instead of a group. Yeah, you always will. You almost always will. That either it just kills someone or it's a breeze. Yes, because in order for one single bad guy to be challenging against a group of players, it almost needs to be able to kill a player per turn. It needs to have crazy high DPS, crazy high abilities to actually challenge them. Otherwise, they're just gonna surround and pound and destroy it. Lickety split. One of the big things when you're running, I run single bad guys from time to time. It is rare. Recently, my Ancient Dragon group fought a Black Dragon. But the Black Dragon was not alone. The Black Dragon had Abishai with him because I'm like, I'm not gonna have one Black Dragon all by himself. First of all, a single bad guy oftentimes makes the battle boring. It's far more interesting tactically for your players when they have to worry about several bad guys and they have to decide where they're gonna go on the battlefield, what they're gonna do, who they're gonna attack, what their strategy is. When you just have one big bad guy, their options and tactics and stuff really just narrow down to, okay, attack the guy, or maybe cast a spell or try to do some things. But when there are more bad guys, the battle as a whole is far more interesting, usually. So, but if you have one bad guy, one of the big things is movement. You need to be able to control your positioning on the battlefield. If your big bad guy gets locked down, if he gets surrounded, if he gets pinned down, he is toast. He is toast. He will be done and over with in like a couple rounds. So the biggest thing is movement. So I always give, when I have a big bad guy against my groups, especially once they get into like tier 2 play for sure, they will always have legendary actions. Always. And one of them will always be movement. They will always be able to use movement as a legendary action. They need to be able to control their positioning on the battlefield. The second thing that I'll almost always give big bad guys, especially in the tier 2 area, is legendary resistances. It is so easy for a spellcaster to cast something like Hold Person or, I don't know, Wall of Force or Banishment or something to just totally skew the odds. So you want to have legendary resistances for sure. Control movement, you want to have legendary actions. You need to have some DPS output. And then when you role play them on the battlefield, you need to have them moving around. You don't want them just sitting in one place and getting smoked on. And if a wizard reveals himself, that bad guy needs to go take care of that wizard. Make sure they have ranged attacks. Make sure, so there are lots of different things you got to do, but I think those things I mentioned are some of the big ones that are going to make it more interesting. But I try to avoid single bad guys as much as possible. It usually makes for unsatisfying combats, almost always. I can think of some single bad guys that I've deployed against my groups, and they usually aren't super great. They usually kind of suck. And it would have been so much better with minions. I rarely have single bad guys that go against my groups these days. There's almost always at least 3 or 4 or 5 folks in a field, you know, so. But if you want to do it, there's some ideas for you, but it is challenging and there's no guarantee that it'll be a fun fight. What would you do if you have half your players wanting to min-max and multi-class, but the other are more casual to keep the game balanced for all? You really can't. You can't, dude. And you don't even need to try. It's not worth trying. It's not worth worrying about. This is like one of those like quintessential questions that like dungeon masters sometimes get us worked up about. We get ourselves worked up over this, and it's not worth getting worked up about. Just it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just who cares? Just play the game. What happens? So you have like 2 players who are min-maxed to the brim. They're really powerful. 2 other players who, let's just call them casual players. You know, it's not meant to be like a derogative term or something, but whatever. They're just casual. They're not so interested. They just want to show up and play the game. And they're not going on Reddit and reading about all these powerful combos. They're not going into Xanathars and pulling out all that horse crap that's way overpowered. You know, they just want to play the game. But other people are like on Reddit and they're watching the YouTube videos where it's like, okay, what are the top 10 feats for my fighter? And what's the overpowered combo that I can use? All right, and now let's craft this together. So some people, yeah, they're creating these like min-maxed monsters, you know. And then you got some people who are just like, I just want to eat some pretzels and drink a little beverages and yeah, play the game. It's not that big of a deal. I just have a straight class wizard. Yeah, that's it. You mean it's not a divination wizard? No. You didn't take the lucky feat? No. It's not a halfling? No. You filthy casual. Some people just don't care. So, but trying to balance the game for a group that's split like that, dude, you might as well beat your head against the wall. What are you gonna do? You're gonna have like, there's like half of the enemies in a fight are very high CR, and the other half are very low CR. And then you deploy the tough ones against the min-maxers, and you deploy like the weak ones against the casuals, and then everybody's happy. No, dude, it's not gonna work like that. It's not gonna work like that. You basically, what you do is based upon like how powerful these dudes are and how weak these dudes are. There's a middle ground there. If you have a group, let's say they're level 5s, and you know that 2 of them are pretty weak, and they're not that strong, what I would do is when you're doing your CR calculations, I would consider them maybe a level lower. Consider them level 4 instead of 5, because you know they're just not super overpowered. Or you might consider the casuals level 5, and then the ones that are super min-maxed, you might consider them level 6. And then that will determine your adjusted experience point like levels for when you're calculating your challenge ratings. And then you can craft encounters that will be balanced for that group, and you're considering some of them as a higher level, and then you just balance your encounters that way. That's really the best you can do. And the other reason that it is futile, in my opinion, to try to adjust too much for super min-maxers and filthy casuals. Who cares? I'm probably close to a filthy casual myself when I play. I don't go onto Reddit and do all this min-maxing. I min-max a little bit, you know, using my brain, but I don't go the whole depth of researching stuff. So the other reason that it is a waste of time, it is futile to try to balance things, is that the challenge rating system is broken anyway. It's all borked and messed up anyway. So you're wasting, you're like worrying and fretting and wringing your hands and ripping your hair out for what? It's the balance in 5th edition is destroyed anyway. It doesn't matter. The challenge rating system, the math, it's all horse crap. Like, you can get stuff in the range, the level area of it, but it's horse crap. Let me give you an example. I recently deployed against my ancient dragon group a black dragon that I souped up. This black dragon, Goliath Cleric is here. He can tell you. I souped this black dragon up. It could cast spells. It was basically an archmage with spellcasting abilities. It could cast as a legendary action 3rd level spells and below 3 times around if it wanted to. It had breath weapons, all that kind of stuff. It had legendary. This thing was souped up. It was probably, I took an adult black dragon and I turned it at least into an ancient black dragon in difficulty through spellcasting abilities mostly and counterspelling. And then I put it with Abishai. I had 2 black Abishai buddies with it. Crazy black dragon, 2 black Abishai. Dude, This probably, if I had calculated out the challenge rating for that encounter, I bet you it would have probably been a challenging encounter for like level 15s or maybe higher. And my group was like, what are they, level 10 or something? I think they were like level 10. And okay, yes, one of them died, but they survived. So a group of level 8s or 10s, I forget what it was, Goliath Cleric can confirm. A group of level 8s or 10s survived, except for one, against an encounter that was easily a challenge, according to the math, for like level 15 adventurers. And they survived. And that's just an example of how the challenge rating system is just, it's worthless, you know? So don't get too worked up and fret about if you have some players who are min-maxers, other players who are casuals. It's not that big of a deal. Just do your best, relax, and have fun, you know? And if they die, they die. It's the best I got. All right, I'm gonna write the timestamp for that one down. So we have 42 minutes and then probably about 40 minutes and then like 8 minutes, something like that. If he dies, he dies. Dude, I have like HBO Max, and I just discovered the whole Rocky series on there. I watched the most recent one that they did, but there's Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all sitting there. And Rocky 4 with I forget his name. What was his name? Ivan? Was it Ivan or something like that? Yeah, that Rocky 4 is really good. If he dies, he dies. I can't do the accent like that, obviously. You guys, I love it when my characters die. It is so awesome to have my characters, like if I'm a player and my character dies, it's the best thing in the world, because now I get to go create a new character, play something different, play something interesting, play something I've never played before, and have fun in a different way. Do you know how boring it is to play the same stupid character for too long? Like after like a couple months, you're like, dude, really? Dungeon Master, I need you to kill me, please. I need to roll a new character up. This is getting boring. Yeah. Can't. Which is the great thing about being a Dungeon Master, because your monsters die every single encounter. Your monsters never survive the encounter almost. And so you get to pick new ones. It's fun. Oh wait, whoops, I screwed that up. I put that in the wrong one. Get rid of that. There we go. That's the one right there. Ooh. What do you recommend as prep? Adventures, NPCs, encounters, etc. for a sandbox? Well, what do you mean by a sandbox, sir? Because a sandbox is you have many things prepared. Many things prepared. And then your players can choose to go on whichever adventure or whatever they want to. You're still gonna have plot hooks. You're still gonna give them plot hooks that would lead them to those places. The sandbox is not just plop you down into the middle of a world and be like, hey, it's Skyrim. Go wander around, see what you find. That's not a sandbox. That's usually a disaster. Like, that's probably a recipe for disaster right there. You need awesome players and an amazing dungeon master to pull something like that off. So sandbox really just means you prep a whole bunch of adventures and your players get to choose. So when I run sandbox games, generally what I do is I give my players like 3 options, and then I tell them, hey, what would you like to do? And then they pick one, and then I go prepare that thing. So then we run that. So they have options and stuff, but I don't prepare a bajillion things and then go run it. Recently I just had my youngling campaign played last night. Yeah, we played last night, and we were finished. We're not quite done. They're trying to kill Strahd. They're in Strahd's castle right now, and they're trying to kill him. They just ran into Strahd, and they're about to throw down with Strahd. It's gonna be fun. And I told them at the end of the game session, Okay, so Strahd is here. You're probably gonna fight him. I don't know. You could probably try to sweet talk him, but it might not work. If you survive this, though, we're gonna be looking to go to a new adventure. So let me know, like, I can give you some options of things that you might consider doing, and then that way I can go prep it for our next game. Because if you fight Strahd and you win, then we'll be able to start a new adventure. But I want to know in advance what you want to do so I can go prep it for you. That way I'm not like prepping a bajillion things. And I was gonna read off to them the options, and then one of them was like, hold on a second. Can we go back to the Black Mage? And I'm like, the Black Mage? Yeah. Because actually there's a video coming out Tuesday. Yeah. My Tuesday video, was it Tuesday video? Yeah. My Tuesday video that's coming out is gonna tell the story of how I TPK'd my Youngling group for the first time, and they died to the Black Mage. So you can hear about that story this Tuesday. But the bottom line is that when they TPK'd against the Black Mage, their original characters had tons of magic items that were left behind. And so now what they want to do when they finish going against Strahd, they want to go back to the Black Mage's hideout, and they want to take him on again with the goal of getting their magic items back. They had tons of magic items, so they want them back. And so at the end of the game session, they told me what they wanted to do next, and that way I can go prep it. They had options. They could have done other things too. I never actually had a chance to tell them because they were like, whoa, hold on a second. I think we know what we want to do. And so, so what do you prep for a sandbox? I think I just talked about that a little bit. Oh, baby. I see spam being deleted already. If a player dies and creates a new character, do you recommend starting their new character at the party's level or fresh? So different dungeon masters have different preferences on this. This is my preference, my very opinionated preference. I personally think that it is absolute horse crap to be at, say, level 10, and then if you die, start at level 1, and then have to, like, okay, so they're level 10 and they're going against big nasties, and I'm level 1 and I suck, and I'm just gonna get squashed in a second. And then some people be like, well, you advance a lot faster. We won't take you that long to get to level 10. We'll like speed advance you. You're gonna speed advance me. Okay, so basically I'm still a liability to my party. I can't fully contribute to them, and they gotta help me level up again. It's neither fun for me as a player, my personal opinion, it's neither fun for me as a player to be at level 1 when everybody else is level 10. I like level 1s, I like low levels, but it's not fun when everybody else is high level and they're fighting big stuff, because I really can't participate. I have to hang back, I have to protect my butt until I can actually take a hit. So not fun for the player who's starting out at low levels when everybody else is high, and it's not fun for the other players because they gotta babysit him. And it's like those stupid NPC. You know, you get those quests, you play those games, and you get those quests where it's like, oh, you have to guard this NPC. So you have to escort the NPC over there, and you got to make sure the NPC doesn't die. Those are like, in video games, those are some of the worst quests you get. Like when the NPC is constantly dying and you're just like, oh my gosh, you suck, go away. Those suck. And so you put the other higher level players in that position where they gotta like babysit the wuss until he levels up. Okay, so not enjoyable for the players, in my opinion. So as a dungeon master, I don't do that to my players. If you die, you roll up a new character, and that character is at the same level as everybody else. So if they're level 15, you die, you roll up a level 15 character, and then you come back in, and we keep on playing. It is the least impactful, it's the least disruptive, and it promotes the most amount of fun, in my opinion. So that is how I do it. Again, personal preference, and I just laid out my explanation of why I feel that way. So that's what I do. Oh, where was that? Moderators, could you make sure that question that I just answered goes into the spreadsheet and then put a timestamp next to it, please? I need a timestamp on that bad boy. Because I just pulled that out of chat. I didn't actually look at the spreadsheet. Sorry, I'm breaking my own rules. All right, let's talk about our giveaway. I've been yammering on way too long. Holy crap. Holy crap. Haha. All right, let's see. We're gonna go over here, and then I need to turn on. Hold on, I need to pause. I need to pause my audio here because I'm gonna show you a video. So our giveaway is tonight we are giving away some cool stuff for RPG Sounds. So RPG Sounds is basically an audio program you can get off from Steam. You download it, and it's an audio program. It plays sounds that you have on your computer system. You can see here that it's got, like, you know, mixers, it's got playlists, it has a sound effect pad, it's got a whole bunch of cool stuff on here, and you can set the mood of your game. Obviously, most of us have used sound and audio effects in our D&D games, and we know how cool it can be and how much it can improve our games. RPG Sounds makes this easy for you. You load your stuff in here. And the cool thing too is that not only can you use your own audio files, but there is an audio room that your players online can join, and then they can hear the music and the sounds that you are playing. And it is completely free. This thing is free on Steam. You can download it. You can use your own audio files, and it comes preloaded with sounds that you can use right away. Now, there are also downloadable content codes that you can get, and you can get some high quality music and sounds also. And our giveaway tonight is going to be some of those DLCs. So 5 people tonight are going to win 10 downloadable content codes, each of them worth $5. For RPG Sounds, and there's probably a link down in the chat and in the description of this video where you can go enter that giveaway. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut up for like 5 seconds, and I'm just gonna play you a little clip here of some of the sounds here. Just a video. I'm just gonna play it off to you so you can hear it. There you go. It's very, very cool. So go check that giveaway out. Go check out RPG Sounds. It is a pretty friggin' sweet program. I poked around with it a little bit. I'm a little lazy with music in my games, but I know people that use this. I believe Danny said that she uses this too. So it's very, very cool. Go check that crap out. And what was I gonna do? Somebody was asking me about the rogue voice. Does the rogue voice hurt? Yes, the rogue voice hurts.
Yeah, it's very hard to talk like this. I can't do this very long. Yeah, sorry.
That I could already start to feel it. It's kind of hard. Oh, I gotta put my music back on. There we go. Eee. All right, continue with questions. Boss battle ASMR. You have a power gamer that counts hit points? Then don't give your monsters the same amount of hit points each. Roll for their hit points, or just change them, tweak them. Dude, I would dude, if I had a player who was counting hit points and he was trying to hold me, he's like, that monster there only has 70 hit points and we've done 85 points of damage. Rah! If I had a player doing that, dude, I would be all over that crap. I'd be like, yeah, how do you know how many hit points that monster has? Yeah, exactly. You don't. And by the way, for the record, all of my monsters don't have the number of hit points that are in the monster manual, Mr. Cheater, sir. I would be all over that super hard. I'm counting hit points, man. Whatever, dude. You're not catching me cheating. It's gonna catch the DM cheating. Whatever. Okay, any advice as a player on how to show their appreciation for DMs that go above and beyond? The biggest thing you can do, the very best thing you can do for a dungeon master that goes above and beyond is just tell them how thankful and grateful you are. Send them an email, tell them in person, just explain how you feel and how thankful you are and what a difference it makes in your life. I have players that probably don't have the greatest lives in the world. They have difficulties and struggles and crap. And D&D is an escape for them. It's a thing they can do, and they can go have fun, and they can forget about the horse crap in their life, you know, and they're very appreciative of it. So just telling your dungeon master is the first step. That's the very first step. If you want to do a little bit more, I don't know, buy them a beer or something, you know. I appreciate that crap. Show up, be a good player, be respectful, you know, don't talk over others. Don't be a wang rod. Be a nice human being at the game table. Be a good player, and then tell your dungeon master that you appreciate what they're doing. Like that's cool, you know. If you could do stuff like, if you know your dungeon master, a lot of times dungeon masters are the ones that end up paying for everything. We pay for the minis. We pay for the grid. We pay for the books. We got to pay for all of this crap, you know. So if you can help them financially, you know, give them a little bit of something to pay for all the resources they buy to run your game, that's something else you can do if that's an option for you, you know. So there's a bunch of different things there, but honestly, as a dungeon master, like the things that mean the most to me are just players telling me thank you and letting me know what the game means to me. That's the most important thing to me, you know. I don't really care. I can buy my own beer and buy my own crap. You know what I mean? But just let me know you're thankful and be a good player. You know what I mean? It means a lot to me. When I recently, my Curse of Strahd game was like, it was like a couple weeks ago, but I canceled it. I skipped it because I needed some time to do some other stuff and get caught up on my business and stuff. And I canceled it. I was like, hey, sorry guys, you know, I'm gonna have to skip this week because blah, 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 whatever. And like several of my players were like, hey, that's okay, dude. And one of them was like, a couple of them, I think, were like, dude, super appreciative of you, you know, running this game for us and all this kind of stuff. And he said some really nice stuff. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's what I want to hear. That's all I want to hear. You know what I mean? You don't got to buy me a Ferrari, you know, a Shelby Mustang would be nice, but dude, just tell me thank you and I'm good to go. So that's the biggest thing, in my opinion. What is on your DM screen or your substitute for such? Nothing. I don't use... I have a DM screen. I don't reference any of the horse crap on it. The only thing on it that I actually use is a piece of paper that has random names. So that if there's an NPC that I had to invent and a player is talking with them and they're like, hi, I'm Jim. What's your name? I can like look to my screen and be like, Rosetta. My name's Rosetta. So that's the only thing I have on my Dungeon Master screen that I actually use. All the rest of it's horse crap. It's not horse crap, it's useful information, but I just don't reference it. It's not useful to me. Like most of the rules that get used the most often, because I run D&D like at least once a week, and I have done so sometimes twice a week, and I have done so for like, I don't know, 5th edition I've been running for 5 years or more. I don't know. When you run D&D that much and you use the rules that much, a lot of them just become ingrained in your brain and you don't have to think about them too much. Now, sometimes I screw things up. Sometimes I'll forget something. Like last night at the Youngling game, I forgot how the shove and the push works. And I was like, wait a second, how does that work again? And I looked it up, you know? So sometimes things don't get used a whole lot, or you'll just forget and you'll have a brain fart, you know, and you look it up. But most of the time I just don't need to reference it. And if I do need to reference something, I'm in my player handbook, I have little note tabs, sticky notes on the different pages, the different sections that I reference the most, like the conditions section at the end of the player handbook. I reference that a lot just to make sure, even though I kind of know most of them, some of them are confusing or they like, well, what does poison actually do, and incapacitated and stunned? Sometimes these things you get confused a little bit. And so like I have a quick little tab there, I can go look at it really quick. Or, you know, equipment, combat, stuff like that. So I have little tabs where I can find things pretty quickly. You know, I just don't use the screen for that, you know? So. Yeah, conditions. Yep. Conditions are one of my big things I reference too. Make sure I get them straight. When it comes to big bads, how do you deal with lieutenants? Do you give them their own foreshadowing or no? Or are they presented as the big bad and you leave the true one hidden until the last moment? I don't know. Yes, no, maybe to each of those questions. There's no right or wrong way to do that. I could do it any of those ways. I have some big bads that don't get revealed until later in the game. I have some big bads that get revealed very early and are constantly referenced. And then they're foreshadowed and, you know, blah, 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 whatever. You build suspense and drama and tension and all that kind of stuff. So I have some big bads that I work like that. Lieutenants don't tend to get foreshadowed a whole lot. Lieutenants are like, maybe they're important in one quest and they're gonna die very quickly. I usually don't do a whole lot with lieutenants. You could do those things where you're talking about having a lieutenant that you might present as a potential big bad and the party doesn't know otherwise, and they find out later that, oh no, it wasn't, there's this other big bad. You could do that. It doesn't matter how you slice it. Each one has its pros and cons and can be cool. It just depends on how you want to do it. So I don't really have any strong opinions on that question, really. It's just kind of whatever you want to do, and it'll be cool. I have 3 cats lining up down here for food or snack. They want snack is what they want. Is places or encounters more important for sandbox campaigns? Encounters. You got to have dungeons though. If you're running a location based game, you have to have locations, which are kind of places, and you have to have encounters in those. You have to have both. You can't run a location based game without a place, a dungeon or something, and then encounters in it. So you kind of need all those things. But if you're talking about the world, the backdrop of the world, that's the least important thing. Least important thing is the world. That's what players care about the least, is the world you create. Let's see. I'm DMing my first game next week. Cool. It's a 1-player one-shot. Their PC is kind of very powerful, level 3, but I am still concerned about their survivability. Any tips for balancing? Action economy. Action economy is one of the strongest balancing factors in the game. Action economy basically is a level 3 PC is going to be able to move and attack once. That's their action economy. It's basically an action economy of 1. They get to attack once. If you take a group of 5 kobolds, if you take a level 3 PC and 5 kobolds, by the numbers, more than likely the 5 kobolds are not that hard for that 1 level 3 PC. However, the 5 kobolds all have action economy on their side. Because there are 5 of them, they get 5 attacks. And they will surround that 1 PC and they will pound him into oblivion. It is the reverse of what I've talked about before about having 1 bad guy and having a group of adventurers. Well, now we're going to have 1 adventurer and a group of bad guys. And action economy on the side of the kobolds is going to play into their favor no matter what the numbers say. I don't care what Wizards does for their math. They're morons. It doesn't work. Action economy is like king a lot of times in situations like this. So my suggestion for running a game for 1 player, for 1 character, is to reduce the number of enemies. You don't have 5 kobolds. You have maybe 2 hobgoblins or something like that. That's more reasonable. They don't have the action economy. There's only 2 of them, right? Fewer attacks. And by the numbers, it's probably an easier encounter, but it's going to be much easier for the PC. So reduce the number of monsters so that the action economy is lower. That's going to be the biggest thing for trying to balance that stuff out. And then you still want to punch the numbers and the challenge rating, you know, to kind of ballpark things and kind of get it around the best you can. And that's really the best you can do. So. This is why I watch Luke. Says what we're all thinking. Yeah, that's my problem. That'll be my downfall. My downfall will be that I just speak my mind and I tell you what I think. You have no idea. I have a day job. I'm in meetings all the time in my day job, and I'm just like, video off, audio off. Luke, don't say anything. Luke, keep your mouth shut. Luke, keep your mouth shut. Luke, don't say it. Don't say anything, Luke. And so they're all just like, and I'm just quiet. I don't say anything. I just want to get through that meeting and have it be over with. You know, they're all having a worthless meeting where they're accomplishing nothing and talking around in circles, and there's no action items, there's no plan. And at the end of the meeting, they're like, well, we should get together in 2 weeks to talk about this some more. And I'm just like, holy crap, spare me. So yeah, I keep my mouth shut during my work meetings a lot. I hate corporate meetings, man. It's such a waste. There's so much waste in corporations. Not as much as in government, but corporations have so much fat too. At least in corporations, you can fire people and people get fired, you know. So that's at least one check you have there. What do you want? The little guy is down here crying. What little guy? Well, come over here. Come over to the other side and I'll give you some kisses. Get over here. Yeah. Now roll. Roll. Mommy. Little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Roll. You have to roll. I'm not gonna pet you if you don't roll. Come on, little guy. Come on. You have to roll. Come on. Come on. He almost did it. He almost did it. Little guy. You. What is going on? Yeah, now he doesn't want to do it. Usually he'll roll on the ground and I'll rub his belly. But for some reason he's decided he doesn't want to roll. So I was trying to get him to do it. Little guy, you gotta roll. They're just, oh, look at her. She's like, hey, I want my kisses. She's whacking at him. Mommy, don't whack at him. She's territorial. She's like, I want attention. I want attention first. All right, I answered that one. What is your opinion on giving monsters class levels? Don't waste your time. Do not waste your time trying to give a monster, I'm talking 5th edition. Don't waste your time trying to give a monster class levels. Oh man, jeez. What a exercise in like pain and suffering. If you want to homebrew a monster, just change it. Make the changes you want to the monster's stat block. Go in there, poke around at it, tweak it, make the changes that you want, and then go to an online calculator where you can see how the challenge rating was affected, and then you change the challenge rating. Boom, you're done. That's what you do. We did I did a video a couple weeks ago about creating homebrew monsters, and then that Friday we went on Twitch and we created some homebrew monsters. And if you go over to my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams, you can watch a couple live streams where we literally homebrewed some monsters together. And we made the stat blocks however we wanted to. We put junk in them, we balanced them, and boom, we called it a day. That's really, so if you want to add class levels to a monster, what I would do instead is take your monster and look at the class that you're interested in. Let's say it's a warlock, right? Well, what are the features you like about the warlock? Okay, just take those features, take those abilities, and add them to the stat block of the monster. You're not literally adding a class or levels to it. You're just taking the things that you like, that you want to put on the monster, you throw it in the monster, you go over, you calculate the new CR, you call it a day. And that's going to be far easier, far more streamlined than trying to like do something like 3.5, I think would do this, where you could add class levels to a monster. Oh, good gravy. Don't do that. All right. I'm too fluffy for you. Well, I think I'm too fluffy for you. I'm pretty fluffy myself. At any rate, it says, love your content. Keep up the awesome work. And that's a killer mug. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, dude. Yes, this is my mug. And then it's a beautiful, this is like wood, all wood, metal, stainless steel inside. It's like high, it's huge too. Look at this. It's like, well, it's almost as big as my head. It's massive. So it's a beautiful mug. Thank you. Unless you were talking about this mug. Diggers Miniatures says, first time in this live stream, I'm loving it. Thank you, sir, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that, dude. Glad you're having a fun time. My exposure is killing me. Oh, my video exposure. I'm gonna fix this stupid junk. Next time I'm gonna close my curtains because it's screwing my video up. There we go, I fixed it. What a piece of junk. Ah, no, I did it again. Okay. How do you actually terrify how do you terrify players without the obvious pressure of a strong monster? How about the threat of a strong monster? I don't know. Look, what's going to terrify players? What are they actually scared of? What are they actually scared of? Character death, harm to their characters, harm to people they care about. So if you're not going to threaten their characters with strong monsters, then you're going to have to threaten people they care about. NPCs, family members, stuff like that. I remember one time, this was my Ancient Dragon group. They were fighting some hags, and one of them got tired of their interference, and she literally went and found 4 people that they cared about in the game world, or that some of the people they cared about family members and stuff, and she cut their heads off. And she put all 4 of their heads in their tavern that they owned, and it had little notes stuffed in their mouth. And each note gave them like a threat and stuff like that. And the final note said, you need to come here and confront me. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on cutting off heads until you come meet me. And so I wasn't directly threatening the players. I was threatening the people they cared about, the NPCs in the game that they cared about. And you better believe my players dropped what they were doing and went over there to stop that hag from what she was doing. So you can always threaten that sort of thing. You can threaten their properties, their possessions. I did this in my Ancient Dragon campaign. I threatened their properties, and I threatened their businesses and their livelihoods, and they had to go take care of it. So there's more things that you can threaten, that you can put in jeopardy than just the characters' lives. Now, players won't always appreciate that. Some of them won't be ready to have all of their assets seized by the government because they're suspected of criminal activity. They won't always appreciate that. So be prepared for sometimes a little pushback where they're just like, no, it's not fair. But tick off the wrong people in the game world and they're not going to play nice with you. I answered that one. Any advice on dealing with a language barrier that unfortunately are slowing the game down a lot? That sucks. That really, really sucks. How do you be like caring and compassionate, right, to a player who just doesn't speak the language well enough, and that's causing difficulties in playing the game, right? Because you want to recognize, like, you know, this person, you know, That is rough, dude. I've had this happen once to me where it was a really difficult problem for me. And I had it happen another time where it wasn't nearly as impactful. The first time that it happened to me, this was when I first started playing 5th edition. I had a player who he had some sort of speech impediment or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was very difficult to understand what he was saying all the time. And we would play in game shops, and there were like magic players all over the place. You know what I mean? Just playing magic, you know, and there was this constant hum of people talking throughout the entire shop. And when you combine that background noise with the way this player spoke, I could barely understand him at times. I had to ask him to repeat himself constantly to try to understand him, you know, and it was difficult for me as I'm like, it's slowing the game down, but I want to be considerate. He wants to play too, but I can't facilitate his gameplay if I don't understand him. And so I'm going to be asking him to repeat himself several times, you know, and that's going to slow things down, you know, and I'm trying to meet him where he's at. I'm trying to run a fun game for everybody, you know, and for him and stuff. And what I found myself doing too is when he was quiet and wasn't participating, usually what I'll try to do is when somebody's quiet, and sometimes I forget, I'm not perfect, but usually what I try to do is like, hey, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to say anything? Do you want to participate? And I found myself not doing that with him because I was like, oh, if I ask him, if I try to pull him back in, I'm not gonna be able to understand him. And so it was hard for me. It was really hard, you know. The situation ended up resolving itself. He ended up leaving of his own accord. I don't remember what the reasons were. He didn't say it was a problem with the group or anything. He just lost interest or something. But I can't help but wonder if he lost interest because there was such a difficulty in understanding what he was saying and stuff. So I don't know. So as far as how to address your problem, I don't know. That's really hard. And I mean, I've had personal experience with that, you know, and look, I wasn't going to kick the guy out. There was no way that I was going to kick that guy out. Dude, it's not his fault, man. And I'm trying to he's a cool guy. He was doing the best. He was being a good dude, you know, it just couldn't understand him, you know? And so I'm like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to kick this guy out of the group. Yes, he's slowing the group down. Yes, it's more challenging for me, but am I going to kick him out because he can't speak? Whether it's a speech impediment or whether it's an actual language barrier where his English isn't his first language or something, it's like, oh, dude, come on, man. I can't just, kick him out because of that? Nah. So, I mean, I just did the best I could and dealt with the situation, you know, and just tried to do the best I could. What are you going to do? I'm not going to be a heartless jerk and be like, hey, you're out of here. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So you just got to try to do the best you can. Now, I don't know if see, now this situation for me was manageable, right? We could figure it out. But if there was literally a situation where the dude didn't speak English, like, what are you gonna do, man? Like, you don't speak English. So there's probably a balance, you know, where you get to the point where it's like, dude, you don't really speak our language well enough to play in this game with us. You know what I mean? At that point, it just depends on where that is, you know. At some point, though, you probably would need to try to help them find a group, you know, that speaks their language. You know, if it's German or Spanish or whatever it happens to be, and go find a different group. You know what I mean? So there's probably a point there where you might have to make that decision. It just depends on how grave it is. You know what I mean? If it's literally like they speak a different language, it's like, okay, dude, you speak Russian. We don't play the game in Russian. You know, so I don't know, but it's rough. It's rough. Mystics. Isn't Mystics the whole horribly broken, overpowered piece of junk that's in Tasha's? Is that the one? Most of the stuff in Tasha's is garbage. It's all overpowered. Almost every single time a player shows me something in Tasha's, I'm just like, well, that's overpowered. Well, that's broken. No, you can't teleport every single round with your summons. That's garbage. Or maybe Mystics is from something else. I don't know. Every single splat book that comes out gets more and more broken. I'm about to like just lose it and just tell my players to no more Xanathars, no more Tasha's. Wizards just keeps on introducing more game-breaking stuff. It's just ridiculous. So I'm sorry, but I'm like getting to the point where I'm getting exasperated with the broken content that comes out and having to tell my players no, or having to homebrew it or change it. I'm getting sick of my players coming to me with new stuff that comes out and then asking me if they can play it, and then me reviewing it and being like, woo, how did this get published? How did this get published? And I think somebody was telling me too that there was some official, like, I think Wizards person that was explaining the decision and explaining why, you know, a lot of these new splat books are so powerful, you know. And essentially, the long and short of it is the explanation was simply, well, we want players to enjoy the content, or we want them to have fun, you know. We want the content to appeal to them. Dude, you don't have to make broken, overpowered content for them to enjoy it and have fun. Really, what you want to do is you want to sell books. And you know that if something's way more powerful than the existing material, that is an incentive to a large portion of players to go buy it. Especially folks who are in things like Adventurers League, where that stuff is canon and you can use it, you know, or just players, just your typical min-maxers or power gamers and stuff. You know that if you make stuff progressively more overpowered and broken, that appeals to a large player group, the ones that want to have those crazy combos, that watch the videos on YouTube about crazy combos. Oh, it's a crazy combo! Rah! You know, or the Reddit threads about the combinations and builds that are super powerful. You know, so they're trying to sell books, so they're making stuff progressively more powerful, you know, and they do it in Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Those monsters, the CRs of those monsters, if you take a CR3 out of Volo's and compare it to a CR3 out of Monster Manual, the Volo's monster is more powerful almost all the time. So there's a progressive power creep that's happening, you know, and you get more combos and stuff and player options. Eventually it comes to the point where you get to what happened in 3.5 and Pathfinder and stuff, where the game is just certain combos break the game. The game is unplayable and destroyed, you know, and once the game devolves and degenerates to that point, then it's just this beautiful, wonderful thing that happens. The company sweeps in and says, hey guys, we have a solution for this mess that has become of the game. We're gonna make a new edition for you. And 6th edition is gonna solve all of these problems that unfortunately, due to our own fault, have been introduced into the game. But we're gonna sell you a new edition and we're gonna fix all these problems. It's gonna be beautiful. We're gonna sing Kumbaya around a campfire. We're gonna love it. So eventually we'll get to that point. Probably not there yet, but dang, the writing is like, it's in Tasha's, it's in Xanathar's to a lesser extent, you know, but it's there, it's there. I'm getting low on coffee. Ooh. I need more coffee. We should do a cat strike. Let's plug the giveaway thing really quick, and then we're gonna do a cat strike. All right, so doing a giveaway tonight. The sponsor of tonight's stream is RPG Sounds. These dudes here, so RPG Sounds is basically an audio software for Dungeon Masters. You can get it on Steam. It is completely free. You can download it and you can use it in your own games. It basically, you can load any audio, any music, any sound effects into RPG Sounds and then play them in your game. There is an audio room that you can invite your online players to come and join so they can hear your sounds as well. And I'm just going to play off a little portion of that. Let me pull up a different video. They sent me several videos, sample videos I can show you. This one right here, which one was this one? The Dragon's Tower? Let's go to the pirate ship. Let's take a look at the pirate ship. There we go. I'm gonna be quiet so you can listen to this as it plays a little bit to get an idea of what this can do. It's really cool. It's got a mixer. It's got a little sound effects pad and crap. It's pretty cool. And there's a link right there where you can sign up for the giveaway they're doing tonight. So I'll give you a little sample there. Basically, the giveaway is going to be 5 people are going to win 10 downloadable content codes. Each one is worth about $5, so it's like $50 of content. Basically, it'll allow you to download sounds and audio to use in this. Now, you can use your own audio and sounds and just import it into the program, into RPG Sounds itself, but the downloadable content codes are going to give you even more stuff that you can use in your games. So there's a link right there where you can sign up for that bad boy, and we will be drawing the winners to this giveaway tonight at the end of the live stream as well. So I'm gonna get my music going again. There we go. Gotta get my music going. And now we're going to do a cat strike. So for folks who have been in my live streams before, this is a cat strike. I shake this, and the kitty cats come running. Look at this. They're swarming. It's beautiful. Yeah. Revolutionary Comrade, thank you for the $5 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Says, I want to let you know you do a great job and really do a lot of work for your patrons. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. The patron PDF we do is amazing. Amazing. The April one is out now. Okay, so we got to give these cats some snacks. Looks like I have about 5 of them currently. And they are swarming. Swarming! Wow. What's going on, buddies? There, I'm gonna get some coffee. I'll be right back. Just watch the kitty cats. Got orange in the box. That's awesome. Did they behave? Did anybody attack anybody? They're mimics.
Little girl. Little girl.
You got little girl.
Little girl. Give me a little girl.
She's too busy sniffing the ground for snacks. All right, I'm gonna adjust my. I think I can adjust my exposure now on my camera. The sun has seemed to die down a little bit. Put it back down to manual. Oh yeah, there we go. That's so much better. Whee! That's gonna make me happy to not have my exposure all messed up. All right, rock and roll. Whee! That makes me happy. At what level should I introduce the big bad to my players? It literally does not matter. You do it whenever you want to do it, whenever you think it's most appropriate. There's a bajillion different levels. There are 20 different levels that you could introduce the big bad at. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, whether you want to foreshadow or not, blah, 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 etc. So it doesn't matter. It depends on what you're trying to do, dude. Have you ever used the concept of a beholder hive presented in Volos? No. They'd have to be like level 20 with a whole bunch of beholders and stuff. Man. I've never done that before. I did do an adventure once that had a beholder in it and lots of beholder kin, and it was very, very cool. That was a lot of fun. That was when this was like 2-3 years ago or so, and we found out how powerful the blindness spell is. Blindness, deafness. It's a 2nd level spell. It lasts for 1 minute. It does not require concentration. And if you cast it on a beholder, essentially the beholder is powerless. They can't do anything. You take like a very high CR creature, and with the casting of one level 2 spell, they're completely worthless now. And we found out how powerful the blindness spell was. It totally just incapacitates beholders. And I think back then I didn't have any house rule to that, but these days I probably would come up with some sort of house rule whereby the blindness spell won't blind them entirely. Like, they have like how many eyes? Like, how many eyes do they have? So you're gonna cast blindness and then like they just can't see at all, ever. Boom, you're done. Or I would just give them legendary resistances, and then if it's blindness and they fail, they'd be like, nah, I'm gonna save instead. That would actually probably be my fix these days. I would probably just give them legendary resistances, and then if it's blindness, deafness, they would be like, nope, and they would just walk away. Or you could just modify their stat block and say that they are immune to the blind condition. I would fix it somehow though, because it is extremely unsatisfying to have a level 2 spell just totally incapacitate a high CR creature. Because all of their eye rays basically say that you have to be able to see the creature to cast the eye ray. That's why it incapacitates them entirely. They have the 100 eyes, yeah. What would you do if you have a world that you really want to run a game in but don't have any in-campaign ideas for? I would find a campaign idea. That's what I would do. By the way, I will highly recommend the Eberron book. Even if you don't want to run games in the Eberron game world, the Eberron campaign book is hands down one of the best campaign settings book I've ever seen. Not necessarily, Eberron is cool, granted, but forget about the Eberron setting itself. The way they wrote that book, the way they designed that book is amazing. That campaign setting book for Eberron was designed with the Dungeon Master in mind to help the Dungeon Master facilitate games in Eberron. And you could take a lot of those. It has tons of campaign ideas, adventure ideas, all throughout the book in different places. You could take any of those, tweak them a little bit, and make them fit into your world and your game. So highly recommend Eberron campaign setting, even if you don't want to run a game in Eberron. It is amazing, amazing. So I just got done like totally smearing Wizards and some of their crap about 15 minutes ago, and now I am highly recommending Eberron because the people that made that, Wizards made it, you know, but they did a good job on this book. It's like if something sucks, I'm going to call it out. If something's amazing, I'm going to tell you how amazing it is. And I have not found anything. Well, the Artificer has some balance issues, it feels like, in the Eberron book. But besides that, like, oh, good gravy. Eberron campaign setting book is amazing. Okay, anyway, let's keep moving. So if I didn't have any campaign ideas, I would find some. I would make some up. Any advice to a new dungeon master trying to create their own world? Don't. Get a pre-existing game world. If you do not have a deep driving desire to create your own world, don't. You don't have to. It is not a prerequisite of being a dungeon master. If you don't have an internal burning desire to create your own game world, then just go get a pre-existing one. Get the Eberron book, get Forgotten Realms, not Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. That is hands down the worst 5th edition book that Wizards has ever created. I don't care how unbalanced and crappy like Rise of Tiamat or any of those other things were. Sword Coast Guards, Adventures, that's just bad. So don't get that one. But Eberron is really good. There's the Odyssey of Theros thing that I haven't read it right, but it looks interesting, and I love Greek mythology, so that might be a good one to look at. I've heard lots of good things about the Ravnica book, and there's the one from Critical Role, the one they did, the Wildemount or something like that. So there's lots of campaign settings. If you don't have a burning desire to create your own game world, don't. Get a pre-existing one, run a pre-existing game world. The world that the game takes place in is usually the least important thing to your players. Your players are interested in their characters and the adventures, the bad guys they're fighting, the monsters they're fighting, the loot they're getting, the cool magic items they're getting. The game world is the backdrop. So if you don't have a burning desire to create it, then don't use a pre-existing one. And if you want to create your own game world, there are lots of videos on YouTube that will talk about creating game worlds. And I'll also recommend if you want to create your own game world, this book right here, Arbiter of Worlds by Alexander Macris, has a chapter in it about creating game worlds. And he talks about some of the ways to go about doing it. So you can pick this book up. I think it was like maybe $15 on Amazon or something. So Arbiter of Worlds, Alexander Macris, it looks like. Go grab this thing. It has some information in there. There's actually lots of good information in this book. I haven't read the whole thing quite yet. I'm about a third of the way through it or so. I poke at it every so often, you know. I listen to a lot of Audible books, lots of Audible books, but it's really hard for me to read physical books these days. But I listen to lots of audiobooks. But that one, I don't know if it's on it. But wait, whatever. Anyway, go check it out. Got some information in there for you. And lots of other good information. How do you handle inspiration? I usually forget. It seems it's one of those things that you can easily forget as a DM during the game. And as a player, you don't want to be begging for it. No, you don't. So I try my best to remember to give my players inspiration. And a lot of times I will remember to give them inspiration, and then I'll be like, hold on a second. I want you to take inspiration for this thing, and then you did this thing, take inspiration for that, and then okay, so you three get inspiration, you two, sorry, you know. And so a lot of times I'll give them out in batches because I'll like remember to do it, and then I'll try to think about what everybody was doing and if they deserved it or not, you know. I also tell my players that if you are role-playing your personality trait, your flaw, your bond, or one of those cool things, tell me about it and ask for inspiration. And generally speaking, if one of my players says, hey, Luke, I did X thing, could I get inspiration? I almost always say yes, because I don't want them to be afraid to ask for inspiration when they did something cool. Now, I do have like a player or two who will always, they'll frequently be asking for inspiration. And so then it's like, you're getting a little too greedy there. that's kind of how I handle it, but it is hard. You forget about it. The game master has so many things they're doing, so many crazy amounts of things they're doing. Inspiration is one of those things where I've asked my players, hey, let me know if you need some inspiration, because you did X, Y, and Z, and then I'll give you some, you know. So it's one of those things where I ask my players to help me with it because it's hard to remember all the crap I got to do. I'm trying to kill you. I'm busy throwing dragons at you, and you want me to remember inspiration? I'll do my best, you know. What's the best printer for minis? I know nothing about 3D printing. Sorry. There are like entire YouTube channels dedicated to 3D printing. I would go find one of those YouTube channels. I don't watch any myself because I don't care about 3D printing. I just buy my minis. Like if I want minis, I'm just gonna, oh, you guys. The last Reaper Bones Kickstarter is like shipping now. They've begun shipping on it. I'm about to get like, I don't know, 150 or something miniatures from Reaper Bones. Oh, dude, so many minis. I'm just gonna have a massive box full of minis. And I'm gonna have to start painting minis, man. It's been a long time since I've painted minis. Oh gosh, I gotta get to work. I'm gonna have like a big 150 minis are gonna show up on my door, dude. Whoo! I love the Reaper Bones Kickstarters. And then they're probably gonna have another Kickstarter pretty soon after they fulfill it. And you better believe I'm gonna get more minis, dude. It's like $100 for like over 100 minis, and they're high quality. Reaper Bones minis are high quality. It's like, you can't beat that. Can't beat that. Now, I used to stream painting, but I didn't like it. It wasn't too enjoyable for me. So I won't stream it. I would just paint minis. I did that one. Holy crap balls. When running a one-shot game for a level 10 party, how do you determine starting equipment? Do you give spending gold? And if so, how much do you charge for magic items? Okay, so let me show you what I do. I have character creation rules that I give my players, and I will show you my exact character creation rules. I actually have it on Reddit, and I hate Reddit. But I have my character creation rules on Reddit, surprisingly enough. Let me find them really quick, and I will link them to you in the chat here. So I have to sign into chat? Are you kidding me? You're stupid. Okay, hold on. It's trying to tell me to sign into chat. Okay, OBS. I own the channel. I have to sign in? Whatever. I think I just put it in chat. Did I put it in chat? There you go. Okay, I put it in chat. So, and then I'm going to walk through it in stream, but you can take a look at that. Basically, these are my character creation rules that I have for my games. And these are important. Let's just look at my character creation rules, shall we? First of all, you must have a reason to be an adventurer and go on adventures. Holy friggin' crap. How many times do you guys get somebody who's like, I just want to be a blacksmith or a cobbler. That's really all I want to do with my life. This whole adventuring thing is kind of boring. I don't really want to go on adventures with everybody else. I just want to stay in town and work my craft. No. Then roll up a new PC. You need to be an adventurer. That's what this game is. Thank you very much. So anyway, that's rule number 1 right there. These are my character creation rules that I send to all my players. Okay, next, you need to have a reason to adventure with the group. You do not need some edgelord lone ranger with social issues who wants to leave the group every 10 seconds and do his own thing. I personally run a group game. I want my characters to stay together so I can run one game as opposed to running several games simultaneously. Dungeon Master does enough work, thank you very much. So, 2 big rules right there, and those 2 rules head off lots of problems that Dungeon Masters will routinely find themselves in. Gotta trust me on that. Okay, there you go. I'm not saying you can't ever split up. I'm just saying as a general rule, you need to adventure together because I run a group game. That's just my game. Other people they can do what they want, but this is my game. All right, 27 point buy for abilities. Boom, there you go, done. Okay, you can choose all of the different junk from the player handbook, but if you want to use something from Xanathar's or Tasha's, check with me first because that stuff is so broken and crazy. And then I can always outlaw something if I want to. Here's the actual answer to your question, starting gold. So basically, if you're at levels 5 through 10, you get 2,000 gold pieces extra. Levels 11 through 16 get 5,000 gold pieces. Levels 17 through 20 get 10,000 gold pieces to spend on stuff. And then you can also buy some additional healing potions. I don't actually have anything baked into here about magic items. I usually do not let my players choose their own magic items. I have had so many players build characters around magic items to be super overpowered. Like you'll intentionally build a paladin with a sorcerer who can shield and then take a cloak of displacement. Like they intentionally build their character build is around a magic item that makes it incredibly overpowered. So I usually don't let my players choose their own magic items. If I have a player coming in at like a super high level, I might give them a starter magic item, but it would probably be something that I chose for them. Or I would just have something drop for them in one of the first adventures the group goes on. But I'm not going to, usually I don't let players choose magic items. I have had way too many problems in the past with people min-maxing around magic items that they get to choose. So I just tend not to go there. Unearthed Arcana, nope. Third-party homebrew stuff, no thank you very much. Now, that's not necessarily a knock on those things. That rule is my own personal rule because I have a limited amount of time, and third-party and homebrew stuff is almost always overbalanced and overpowered. Unbalanced and overpowered, and I just don't have time to check over it all and change it for you. So I'm not saying don't use those things. Those things are good. I actually produce every month a Patreon PDF with homebrew stuff in it. But my recommendation to Dungeon Masters is always going to be that if you're allowing third-party or homebrew stuff, that you should put eyeballs on it and see if it feels balanced for your game, because a lot of homebrew stuff is unbalanced. And since I don't have time to personally double check these things, I just don't allow it. So this is a time constraint on my end. It's not necessarily a knock against those things, because those things have their place and lots of people love those things. So that's just my little caveat. I wanted to explain that because Specific things not allowed. Races that give flying at level 1. Oh, come on. That's even outlawed in Adventurers League for good reason. And okay, then I have specific things that I've outlawed. Ancestral Guardian, so broken. Elven Accuracy, also broken. Bountiful Luck, so broken. And then Custom Lineage from Tasha's. And there's actually a couple other things from Tasha's that I can think of. There's is it a Wildfire or something, Sorcerer? There's something like that that's way just broken. So that's probably gonna be on the list. And there's a lot of things from Tasha's, the more I look at it, where I'm just like, yeah, that should be on my list of things not allowed. Holy crap. Okay, there we go. So there's basically my character creation rules that I use for my games, and some of the explanations around why I use them. So I hope that's helpful for you. Let me see. Moderators, could one of you make a note in the spreadsheet with a timestamp that basically says Luke explains his character creation rules? Just throw that in the spreadsheet for me with a timestamp, if you would be so kind. That way, Wildfire Druid, there you go. That way I know what the timestamp on that was. Would appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was like, what are we at? 1 hour and 50 minutes or something like that? How do we get 310? How do you get 310? We're not at 3 hours and 10 minutes. That should be, hold on. I'm just gonna, it's 1 hour and 50 minutes roughly. Why does it do that? Oh, it's got a time now. Now it's telling you the time. Oh my goodness. 1 hour, 50 minutes. There we go. Okay, I fixed it. Oh geez, this is doing the same thing. It's doing a time. Oh no. So this is like 1 hour, 5 minutes. There we go. Sorry. Having technical difficulties around here. YouTube says you started streaming 100 minutes ago. 100 minutes? Really? Oh, crap. Oh, it is. Oh yeah, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Oh, it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes. It actually is. Okay, hold on a second. 1 hour, 40 minutes. Yeah, I'm looking at... I'm getting confused because I have OBS timestamps that are down here, and then I have actual time, and so I'm getting everything all mixed around and stuff like that. That's a problem. How do you deal with a player who likes his characters too much? I don't know. Kill them? That's probably not the right answer. Any DM suggestions for mommy? You guys see this cat? He's going nuts on me. What do you want? I gotta pet her. She's bugging me. Time is very hard, Peter. You have no idea. Mommy. Any DM suggestions for using and removing curses and cursed items? Oh, you guys, check this out. I don't think it was the April PDF. So January, February, March, April, May. The May PDF. So my May patron PDF has in it cursed magic items. I'm pretty sure it's the May one. Yeah, I think it's the May one. I get them all confused. I work on so many patron PDF stuff, I can't keep them straight. But one of my patron PDFs has cursed magic items in it. I think Goliath Cleric, I think you're the one that worked on that, weren't you? Anyway, what I loved about those cursed magic items is that they did not just have the whole thing where you could remove them with the remove curse spell. You actually had to do specific things to be able to get rid of the curse. And I loved that. I've never seen that implemented before in a cursed magic item, to have a mechanic whereby there's some special stuff you have to do to get rid of it. And I thought that was really cool. And so what I would recommend if you're introducing, I would do that. If you're introducing a cursed magic item, shield, weapon, armor, whatever it happens to be, boots, who cares, into your game, have a special way that you design that they need, something special they need to do to get rid of the curse. It's not as easy as just casting remove curse and then it's gone. There's a special thing you have to do and make it a little bit more challenging for them. Because honestly, come on. Once you get to like level 5 or something, removing a cursed magic item with remove curse is trivial. Trivial, not a challenge whatsoever. Yeah, I rarely introduce cursed. So somebody said cursed magic items should have a plot hook or something. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Yeah, it's like introducing a cursed magic item into your game is really a waste of time if you're not going to do something special with it. Because it's like I have introduced a few cursed items, and let me tell you what happens when you introduce a cursed magic item into your game. Player gets all excited. Whee! About the magic item. They're like, I got a trident. I'm gonna put this trident, I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna stab things with it, it's gonna be beautiful. And then they get the trident and they start using it, and then it's like, The dungeon master is like, oh, by the way, this trident is cursed. And you start to grow barnacles over your skin, and your face has barnacles on it, and one of your hands starts turning into a claw because that's a cursed barnacle trident. And then the player's like, this sucks. Wizard, hey, come over here. Can you cast remove curse? All right, go ahead and do it. Cast trident on the ground. Okay, let's keep adventuring now. And then they walk on. How like uninteresting and lame is that? It's like curse magic item, remove curse, throw it down, or we can go sell it, or we can give it to some NPC and laugh at them or something. But it's just so uninteresting. If you're gonna do a cursed magic item, you gotta do something special with it. Make it more interesting, have a plot hook, have something interesting going on. There's gotta be something more than just giving them a cursed magic item that they're gonna be upset about and then remove curse and then throw away. Because that's just like, not super fun for anybody. Doesn't really go anywhere. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're at okay. Does an action that recharges based on a D6 and has a longer effect recharge during the duration? Yes, it does. Absolutely. So if you have an action that recharges on a D6 on the roll of a 6, at the beginning of every single one of the enemy's turns, you roll a D6. If the result is a 6, he gets that action back. It doesn't matter if the duration of that effect is a round or 5 rounds or 10 rounds. If you roll a D6 at the beginning of your turn, you get it back. That's the way it works. So that's the long and short of that. Boom. Rockalaka. Chakalaka. For the language barrier, do you think a phone app that translates would speed things up and smooth things out a little? Dude, if it's that bad where you have to have an app doing the translation, that person probably needs to find a game where they speak his language. It's like, dude, like there are people all around the world that are playing Dungeons and Dragons. You know, you go online, you can, if you speak Spanish, you speak German, you speak whatever you speak, you can find groups speaking your language. You know what I mean? If it's so bad that you have to have a phone app translating everything, it's probably not a good fit. It's like, you just don't speak the language, man. I don't know what we can do here. You know what I mean? Thoughts on how to improve your storytelling? Tell more stories. And read books, read fantasy books, read mystery books, read Western books, read the crap out of books, read good stories, hear good stories, listen to good stories. You can get books about storytelling too. There are books about storytelling. There are books about, so you have like, if you have an adventure or you have something that's going on in an adventure, you want there to be some rising action where things are getting ooh, and then there's a climax, and then there's a, what do they call it? It's a wrap up. I forget what they call it, but there's like a wrap up thing, denouement or something. I forget what they call it, but so you can read books that talk about storytelling and how to do, how to learn how to do storytelling and stuff like that. So you could read books about it. You could just read stories and listen to stories, and you could just tell stories and practice your storytelling. So there's lots of different things there you could do to get better at storytelling. But this is Dungeons and Dragons. You're not telling a story. You're not telling a story. Now, you're creating an adventure, you're creating a situation, right? Which is similar to storytelling, but it's not storytelling. You do not want to be telling a story as a dungeon master. That's not your job. The dungeon master is not a storyteller. You create a situation, and then the players encounter that situation and they take certain actions based on that situation. And then you role play the NPCs and the world that are involved in that situation. And the mixture of all of that creates a story. But the story is the output of the game itself. My input as a dungeon master is to create a situation, to create NPCs. And then my players have their input, which is their players, which their characters and their characters' actions. And those two inputs into the equation, into the game, poke out and shoot out a story. And then the story happens. Now, that story may or may not be a good story. You don't know. It might be a sucky story. It might be an awesome story. That's not your job as a dungeon master to determine what story gets told. It's not your job. You create the situation, you create the NPCs, and you roleplay them. And your players roleplay their characters, and then a story happens. And you are not in control of the story that unfolds. Your players have a big say in the story that unfolds. So you're not actually a storyteller. Now, can you set things up in that situation? Can you set things up so that a more fulfilling and interesting game results? Absolutely. But your goal is not to tell a story. That's not your goal. It's never a dungeon master's goal to tell a story. The goal is to set that situation up, to role play your NPCs, and then to facilitate the game and be the arbiter of rules, but you're not actually telling a story. That's not your job. It's not what you should be trying to do. If you want to tell a story, you're better off firing your players and writing a book. But being a good storyteller will help you design interesting situations and NPCs and stuff, though. That I will say. Got that one. How do I encourage my players to stick together? Kill them when they split up. Oh. Last session, a player almost died to a gelatinous cube he fought alone. That's what you gotta do! That's it! Bingo bango! Problem solved. He went off on his own. He ran into a gelatinous cube. He almost died. Do you know what just happened? You just encouraged him to stick with the party because he went off by himself and he got his butt handed to him. Guess what that player is gonna think? Oh crap. Oh crap. It's dangerous when I go off by myself. I should stick with my buddies. And what else is he gonna think? He's gonna be like, well, let's see. My dungeon master probably designed this adventure for a group of 4 people. And so when I, one person, go off by myself and I run into an encounter that's designed for 4 people, I might not do so well. So it sounds like you're already solving the problem. What you're doing, what happened there, and my recommendation is when players wander off on their own, when they split up, you don't change the adventure. You don't change the encounters. The world is what the world is. If your players make dumb decisions, if they split up, if they go off on their own, the world does not change its treatment of them. The world doesn't decide that, oh, the poor little guy went off by himself. Oh, my poor throbbing heart. I can't believe, oh, that poor little guy. All right, well, you know what? How about all of you goblins, why don't you guys go sit this one out? There's just one of them all by himself. Oh, he's just he's so squishy. I'm gonna take him myself. We're gonna give him an easier go at it. No! Those goblins team up and beat the living snot out of that guy. You shouldn't go off by himself. You stick together. It's like, you're on a SWAT team, and you're like, you're breaking down doors and you're busting in there, you're probably supposed to stick with your buddies, at least in pairs or something. I don't know. I'm not a SWAT guy. You probably don't want to just split up and go out through the whole building by yourself. It's probably not a good idea. There could be multiple bad guys. You know, so it's like, dude, stick together. This is not brain surgery here. So don't adjust your adventures, don't adjust your encounters when they split up. Give them the full assault. Give them the game world unchanged, and they will learn that, oh, it's dangerous, stay together. Oh, our dungeon master's not gonna change things because I made a dumb decision. Maybe I should stop making dumb decisions. So yeah, and stick together. So that is how you encourage them to stay together. You give them blunt force trauma, and then they probably will consider staying together more often. And then the rest of the question says, you'd think that would be a warning, but they did it again later. Who cares? Just keep doing the same thing. Dude. It is a fallacy to believe that it is your job to keep them together. You don't have to keep them together. If they want to split up, let them split up. You know, if they split up and they go off on their own, then just keep throwing crap at them. Keep throwing an unaltered game world. They get beat up, they get pounded after encounter. Eventually they might stop doing it. Eventually they might stay together. Maybe you gotta, so keep doing that. Eventually they might learn. Now, you might get to a point. Now the thing is, of course, is that while you're doing that, you are also having to run multiple games, because the guy who goes off on his own and then the people that stayed together, you're going to have to run like 2, maybe 3 games simultaneously. And that is not easy for the dungeon master to do. I've done it before. It's not fun. It can be fun, but it's not easy. It is challenging to do that and then keep everything going and not make it boring for, if this guy's doing his thing, these guys are sitting there for 15 minutes doing nothing. That might be boring as crap for them. So it's challenging. It's not the best game experience for the players a lot of times when they split up. So if it keeps happening and running the game world unaltered isn't changing it, and they keep on splitting up, at that point, yes, then you want to have that discussion and be like, hey guys, check this out. This is a problem. You guys keep splitting up. Now, I don't mind if you split up from time to time, and I don't want to squash your agency and tell you how to play the game. But I will tell you this. I like to run group games, and it is very challenging for me to run the game when you guys split up, because I have to run multiple games simultaneously. And not only that, but when I'm running the game for this guy, all of you guys are, my cat's making noise. All of you guys are sitting over here doing nothing while he's playing the game. And then when it's your turn and we're playing with you guys, he's doing nothing. And so it's not a good game experience for me. It's not a good game experience for you guys. So I would like to minimize the amount of splitting up as part of the game, because I like to run group games. It doesn't mean all the time. Sometimes, sure, split up when it makes sense or whatever. That's okay, but we need to minimize it. And that will improve the game experience for everybody. So you might get to the point where you have to have that discussion and talk to them and just lay it out and ask them to stay together. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when you get to that point, go ahead and do it. And that's cool. All right. Let's plug our giveaway really quick here for folks. We are doing a giveaway tonight. Our giveaway is sponsored by our stream sponsor, RPG Sounds. RPG Sounds is basically a audio software that is available on Steam. You can download it, get it on your computer, and you can import music and sound effects into it and use it in your D&D games. It is completely free. It does not cost anything. And it also has an audio room that you can invite your players online to join so they can hear the music and hear the sounds as well as you play. And the winners tonight, there are going to be 5 winners tonight. Each of them is going to get a downloadable content code with 10 different downloadable content codes for music and sound effects for RPG Sounds. And now you don't have to buy downloadable content from them, but it is pretty cool stuff, I will say. You can just use your own audio and music and import it into there. But the downloadable content stuff is really cool. And 5 winners tonight are going to get some. So there you go. And I will just play a little snippet of this for you so you can kind of listen to it and hear it. It's pretty high quality. It's pretty cool stuff. And you can see the player itself is really snazzy looking as well. I will shut up now so you can hear it. All right, there you go. That's all I got. So go join the giveaway, get in on that. It's cool. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to do a cat strike, and I'm going to get more coffee because I'm out of coffee. It's totally empty. So we'll do a cat strike. I'll get coffee. It'll be fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the stuff of legends. This right here is cat crack. It's actually catnip. Somebody's gonna be like, "Arr!" No, it's just catnip. Calm down, okay? We're gonna give my cat some of this though, and they're gonna freak out. So I gotta find their little toys. I'm missing a toy. I gotta go find one of their toys, and then we're gonna give them some of this, and they're gonna roll around like maniacs. I need to buy more toys. Well, I can only find one of their toys. They have like mice and stuff kicking around, but I don't know where they are. So, all right, all I have is the banana. What's up, Deceiver? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, they are chonkers. They are big chonkers. All right, sweetie. Here you go. And I'm just gonna sprinkle some more on the ground over here. I wish I had their mouse. There, put the lid on. There goes Squeaky. All right, I'll be back. These guys are so adorable. Look at them. Oh. Mommy. I got mommy too. Look at this. Wow. So adorable. Just sit here and watch them. Hey Joe, what's up, dude? How you doing? Thanks for super chat, man. Appreciate it. Joe says, if an adventure in a module is actually 4 linear parts, should I treat each part as a separate adventure for the purpose of planning? Yes. Yep. If you have one adventure that's in 4 parts, it's essentially 4 adventures. Whoa! Squeaky! Calm down. You're gonna get your butt kicked. Squeaky just went after Mommy 2. And Mommy 2 does not take any crap. She would kick his butt. So he's lucky. Yeah, if you essentially one adventure that's in 4 different linear parts is essentially 4 different adventures. For instance, if you take Against the Giants from what is it, the tavern, whatever stupid portal, yawning portal tavern crap, that module or whatever, if you take Against the Giants, there's 3 different adventures in there. It's called Against the Giants and it's technically one adventure, I guess, but you have the Hill Giants, you have the Frost Giants, and you have the Fire Giants. It's really 4 different adventures, even though they bill it as like maybe 1 or something. I don't know. So yeah, you treat it as 4 for planning purposes, especially if they're linear. If you know that one's going to come before the other, yeah, it's linear, dude. Absolutely. And if it's location based and each one takes place in a different dungeon or a different location, then yeah, they're just different adventures. That's how you would treat it for planning purposes. And you would give them the plot hook for the very first one and the first one only, you know, and then when they get done with that one, they get the next plot hook, etc., etc. I am watching this dude play with his cats. What that, like, there's nothing more interesting in the world than, yeah. What am I drinking? This is just coffee. It's just coffee. How do you add filler? Don't add filler to your games. There you go. Everything should be fun. Any tips for writing world building and lore for a homebrew world? Nope, I don't write my own. I don't world build. I use pre-generated modules. So no good tips here. Coffee alert. New Dungeon Master. I'm afraid to kill my players. So all my encounters have been really easy. How do I get over that fear and make things more challenging? I have to go full camera for this. Okay. First of all, I think one important thing is to remember that many players like a challenge. Like, some players like the game to be super easy and they just steamroll everything. That gets boring after a while. That gets boring, that gets old, that gets lame. Players want a challenge. Not all players, some players don't, but many players enjoy a challenge. Now, do they want to get their butts handed to them every game session? No, but they like challenges as well. They like to be pushed to the limits. When you have a challenge and you're pushed to the limit and then you overcome it and you win, that is one of the best feelings in the world. When you run into an easy encounter, an easy adventure, and you steamroll it and it doesn't even work up a sweat, you have no sense of accomplishment. You have no sense of pride in your efforts. There's no adrenaline. There's no rush. It's just like, well, they were goblins. We're level 10. What did you expect? But when it's challenging and you almost lose and you win anyway, that is one of the most exhilarating feelings that there is. So you're not going to be able to give your players that game experience unless you're willing to challenge them. And when you challenge them, there's always the possibility that things can go wrong. The dice can go poorly against them and they might die. It is a consequence. It is part of the game. It happens. But if you want to reach the higher levels of adrenaline, excitement, and the sense of accomplishment, then you have to challenge them. Otherwise, you're never going to get it. And they will never experience that. And they will never get that high. It'll always just be ho, dumb, la, 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 la. So you have to challenge them if you want that. So keep that in mind, right? The game will not reach that higher level of excitement if there isn't challenge from time to time. And they aren't allowed the possibility of loss. And if they overcome it, they'll feel great. But sometimes you have to die. They might die. It happens. I've had TPKs. I've had players die. It happens. I recently gave a very, very difficult challenge to my Ancient Dragon group. A nasty black dragon and a couple black Abishais. And one of the players bit it, died. And the rest survived, barely. And they made that dragon run away. And they did an amazing job in that battle. And that was it was a very challenging battle, but they kind of won. They didn't win because I don't hand them the dragon as a victory unless they earn it, and they weren't able to stop him from running away. And so the dragon got away because, you know, of course dragons are going to try to get away. Nobody wants to die, especially a creature that's going to live forever, basically. So anyway, not the point. So keep that in mind. You have to give them that challenge. Otherwise, they're never going to have that exhilaration and fun of overcoming a challenge. So that's something I could tell you, I guess. Characters dying is not that big of a deal. TPKs aren't that big of a deal. It happens. You don't want it to happen too super. And come on, 5th edition is so lame. The death mechanics are so easy and so lame. It's like, it's almost impossible to kill characters anyway. Dropping to 0 hit points is nothing. It's an unevent. It's an unevent. You have to be very devious and you have to put forth some concerted efforts as a dungeon master to actually kill characters. It is hard to kill characters in 5th edition. The only reason that the character died in that battle with the dragon is that I intentionally had one of the black Abishais stab him when he was down on the ground at 0 hit points. That's the only reason he's dead. Otherwise, one of the other players would have cast Healing Word on him and got him back up again. So you have to be intentional and very, you have to be very intentional about it if you're actually going to kill characters in 5th edition. The death mechanics and dropping to 0 hit points is so lame and so uneventful. Like when I first started running 5th edition and players would drop to 0 hit points, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you know, and then I started to learn, dropping to 0 hit points is meaningless. They're just going to get healed and then get back on their feet as though nothing happened at all, because 5th edition is super easy. So once I learned that and I learned how that worked, I was like, I don't care if they drop to 0 hit points. It's almost impossible to kill anybody in this game. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's harder to kill characters than you think. Almost, Joe, almost, but not quite. I miscalculated. Luke evil as a dungeon master confirmed. I'm a little bit evil, but the games are fun. Usually, not every game is fun, and sometimes you make mistakes as a dungeon master. Sometimes you take a game in a direction that is not fun for folks, and then you learn. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's a bad idea. And then when bad things happen, you analyze those results and you learn from them and you learn in the future. I should not do that again. For instance, I had a Wonder Panda campaign, and I made a pretty big error when I was running that campaign. the premise of the campaign was that all of the characters were pandas, like walking pandas from a different dimension, and they were trapped in the current dimension, which was my game world. And their goal was to get back to their home world. That was the premise of the campaign, and that was the worst premise I could ever have thought of. It was horrible because the players did not care about anything except going home. The only reason they went on any adventures at all was basically I had to twist their arms and say, hey, you know, this wizard can try to help you get back home, but you got to go do this thing for him. And they're just like, okay, fine. We'll go do that thing for the wizard because he's going to try to help us get home. But that's the only reason we care about it. And so all they ever cared about, and rightly so, was getting home. And they had no interest in the adventures and the game world. They didn't care anything about it. And so it just felt like this contrived, forced experience. And so the entire premise of that campaign, in my opinion, was flawed. And I didn't know that when we started. It was only after we kept playing for a while and I started to see my players behaving this way that it started to dawn on me, oh, well, that makes sense. That totally makes sense why they would feel this way. They just want to go home. That's their goal. And all of these other little dumb things they got to do are just like problems in their way. They don't care about this world. They want to go back home. So that's like an example of one of those things where you think you're doing something that should be fun and interesting, and then later on you find out, ooh, there was some bad stuff involved with that. And you know, but you're going to make mistakes like that. And you got to recover. And you learn from it, right? What can I do as a dungeon master when my players are making mistakes in combat? Nothing. One of my players casts True Strike, then attacks next turn. You've just committed one of the classic blunders in Dungeons and Dragons, actually thinking that True Strike is a good spell. One of the classic blunders. True Strike is the stupidest, dumbest, most worthless spell in the game. Okay, so if your players, okay, so there's mistakes and then there's bad decisions. Using True Strike is not a mistake. Using True Strike is either two things. One, the player doesn't understand how bad of a spell it is, or two, they're doing it anyway because that's how they want to roleplay their character. That's legitimate. If you want to do that and you know, like as a wizard, if as a wizard you refuse to take Fireball because I'm not taking Fireball and that's my decision, that's fair, but you're intentionally deciding to nerf your character because Fireball is so powerful. But if you want to do that, that's fine. You're choosing to make that decision. It's not a mistake. It's just a decision you make. Either you make it ignorantly or you make it full aware of what you're giving up. Now, in the case of True Strike, that's not a mistake. That's just a decision. And it might be a decision based in ignorance. So if my players are actually making a mistake, like if they have extra attack and they can attack twice, but they only attack once, if I, as the dungeon master, notice that and remember, I'm going to ask them, hey, don't you get 2 attacks? Oh yeah, I do. So I'm going to help them. If it's an actual legitimate mistake, then I'm going to help them, whether it's in their favor or if they're making a mistake. Like a lot of times my players will misrepresent what spells actually do. And I need to go in and I need to know the spell myself and I need to read it so that we actually play it the correct way. Because some of these spells are super long and complicated. It's not necessarily that they do it on purpose, but mistakes happen. Sometimes it's on purpose. Other times it's just like big, long, complicated spell. So if they're legitimately making a mistake, correct them, help them. That's what you want to do. If it's a bad decision or it's an ignorant decision, that's a different story. Now, in the case of True Strike, if I have a player that's using True Strike, I might bring up to them, hey, you know, dude, this is a really bad, like you're welcome to keep on using this spell if you want, but I just want to let you know this is a bad spell. And I'm going to explain to you why this spell is so bad. So that you can just understand how horrible this spell is And then at least then you can make the decision you want to make. I'm not trying to tell you how to play your character. You're welcome to keep on using it, but I want you to know how horrible this spell is. And then you can make your own choice. So you might do that, but it's not technically an error. Oh, I got that one. Coffee alert. Ah, this is my last thing of coffee here. Have you ever used Foundry? Nope. Fantasy Grounds? Nope. And would you recommend either? I can't. It's hard for me to recommend something I've never used before. I can tell you that lots of people love Foundry VTT, but what I've been told is that it takes a lot of time to get it set up. Like, the end result is really cool, but wow, is there some legwork the Dungeon Master has to do to get it set up. So that's what I've heard, but I can't confirm. I've never used it before. How do I handle a really powerful party without scaling up every single encounter to the point I'm not even following the encounters in the adventure guide anymore? You're screwed, dude. You have no choice. You have no choice. If you're running a module and your players' characters are super powerful, then you really have no choice but to scale the encounters up. That's really your best choice. You could start using really good combat tactics and up your game in combat tactics. I recommend the book The Monsters Know What They're Doing by Keith Armaninin. I can't remember his name, but in my Amazon store, I'm pretty sure I have a link to his book, The Monsters Know What They're Doing. He also has a blog called The Monsters Know What They're Doing, and it discusses tactics for monsters. So one thing you could do is get better tactics. And then instead of changing encounters and scaling up encounters, you could just, before the encounters, study the monsters, decide on what tactics you're going to use, and then use better tactics in those encounters. It's actually a good thing, because when you use better tactics in your encounters, you make the encounters more interesting for your players and more fun for your players as well, as opposed to just having more powerful bad guys with more hit points that do more damage. If you have them using tactics and acting intelligently and doing things, that'll probably make your game better anyway. So that is a very, very strong choice, but there is only so far you can take that. Like, there's going to be diminishing returns there. There's going to be some point that you're going to have to scale up the encounters. You know, the one of the biggest things that is probably going to make players way more powerful when you're running a module is giving them way too many magic items. Like, D&D 5th edition characters don't need magic items to be powerful. So if you've been handing out crap tons of magic items, you better believe they're going to be way more powerful than the module you're running. That is a fallacy that I feel many dungeon masters fall into for 5th edition. When they were game balancing, when they were creating 5th edition, playtesters and stuff told them, hey, we want a low magic system. We don't want magic items to be that big of a thing. And that's the game that we were given. Like, magic items aren't supposed to be a plethora of magic items all over the place. The game isn't balanced that way. So if we give our players too many magic items, their characters will be way too powerful, and then modules will be a lot easier for them. So that's the game that we have. So it doesn't really apply to your question, but I just thought I'd comment on that because, yeah. Hey Luke, I used to Dungeon Master a few years back and I've wanted to get back into it, but I'm super nervous. Any tips to just get over it? Yeah, you start being a Dungeon Master. You say, screw it, I'm doing it anyway. That's what you do, dude. That's the way you overcome anything in the world that you are nervous about, that you're afraid to do. You go out and you do it. You start doing it. You gotta start doing it. You gotta take that first step. And then you start dungeon mastering, you get better at it, you get more comfortable, you feel better. dude. That's the way you do it. Any challenge, anything in your life that is hard, you got to start doing it. And if you start learning about it too and studying it, that's going to make you feel more confident as well. So obviously there's YouTube channels that will talk about how to be a dungeon master and crap like that. You can watch other people's games to see how other dungeon masters run their games, and you can study what they do, and then emulate that. So if you're going to do that though, make sure you're not watching a show. Do not watch a D&D show. I think we know what we're talking about. There are D&D shows where they're putting on a show to entertain people. You don't want to watch those. That's not going to help you. You want to watch a D&D game where they're actually playing D&D, a real gaming group playing D&D without the intention of putting on a show for the viewers. And then you're going to be able to see how a good dungeon master runs a game. Okay, so those are some things you can do. And the more you learn about those things, the more you read books like this and you learn little different tips about being a dungeon master and stuff, then you're going to improve your skills, and then you're going to practice and put those things into practice, and you're going to get more confidence. And the more confidence you have, the less nerves you'll have. When you're good at something, you don't get nervous as much. You know, like I can talk to people. I don't get nervous about talking to people. I don't get nervous about this, that, and the other thing, you know, because I do it so much. I'm comfortable. It doesn't bother me, you know. So learn it, get the skills, practice it. You got to do it. You got to step out and do it. Otherwise, you're just always going to live in fear, and you don't want to live in fear, dude. Especially not for something that can be so much fun. It's not worth it. Should player versus player be forbidden if, say, Strahd convinced a party member to join him? Okay, so check this out, dude. You can't eat your cake and have it too. You can't do both, dude. You can't. You have set two boundary conditions that are not compatible with each other. If you say there's no player versus player, as a dungeon master, you say that there is no player versus player, but then you also have Strahd convince one of the players to work for him. What? Those are not compatible. You can't do those things. That would be a misstep on your part as a dungeon master. If you are going to have Strahd convince a player to work for him, you must therefore allow a certain amount of player versus player. Otherwise, those two things are incompatible. So reject the premise and throw that right back and say, that's either, it's one or the other. You can't have both. So you're like I said, your boundary conditions are incompatible for that. My DMPC's name is something Whitewood. Is he really bad for the game as everyone says? How did that get marked blue? Moderators, how did that get marked blue? I'm gonna go with yes. Oh, were you trying to like taunt me to rant about DMPCs? So wait a second. Are your players saying that the DMPC is bad for the game? It probably is. Get rid of DMPCs are dumb. Yeah, I would get rid of it. I think my moderators were trying to get me to rant on DMPCs. The thing is that we're like 2.5 hours into the live stream and I'm running out of energy, and ranting takes energy. So like, it's like at this point in the stream, the most I can do is like roll my eyes and be like, oh, my head hurts. If only I could rant on DMPCs and tell everybody how horrible and stupid and pathetic they are, and how dungeon masters should stop using them because they break then ruin. It's bad. Don't do it. Yeah, if I had the energy to rant, I would. Sadly, yeah. My moderators do this. They totally do this. They're like, they want me to rant on something. One of my players have found themselves facing a trial for murder. I've never run a trial. Any advice? Oh gosh. I feel for you, dude. I really feel for you. Like, I think I've had that happen once in my game world before, and there was nothing super interesting about it. Like, are we gonna role play the trial? Is that what I want to do at my D&D game? Is role play the trial? Do I want to role play it? Do I want to be the prosecutor, and then have them be the defendants and stuff, and we role play this? Really? We're gonna role play a trial? Oh man, I don't want to role play a trial, you know? I might turn it into a skill challenge where they're making a certain number of checks and things, and then just have the trial unfold through skill checks. There might be a little bit of role playing. I wouldn't go crazy into it. That doesn't sound like, for me personally, for my personal tastes, I don't think I would enjoy doing that. It would, yeah, I don't know. I would turn it into a skill challenge is probably what I would do for a trial. And we would minimize the amount of role playing of it. They would probably state their case and stuff, and then the prosecutor would have some evidence and stuff like that. And then there would be a skill challenge involved. They would probably have opportunities to bribe people to get their way out of it, things like that, depending upon, you know, the government, the locality, and how acceptable that sort of thing is. But I wouldn't get too deep into the role playing of it. It would mostly be a skill challenge, and we would get through it that way. That would fit more with my tastes, I think. Yeah, because I kind of want to play D&D. I don't want to run trials and be a trial lawyer at my D&D table. That doesn't appeal to me personally. Oh, let's hit our giveaway real quick. Let's
tell folks about the wonderful giveaway that we're doing tonight.
Oh, where is this thing? All right, so tonight's stream is sponsored by RPG Sounds. RPG Sounds is a free audio software that you can download from Steam. Completely free, and it comes with some preloaded sounds in it as well. Basically, you can use this sound mixer to play audio music and sound effects for your games. And you can import your own sound as well. If you have music, if you have your own sound effects, you can import it into their audio player and play them. You don't need to buy anything. It's completely free. And I mean, it does have downloadable content with high quality music and high quality sound effects as well. So you can buy stuff if you want to, but you don't have to. And it has an online, if you have friends online that you're playing with, it has an audio room that they can join, and then they can, you know, listen to the music that you're playing, listen to the sound effects you're playing. So we're doing a giveaway tonight. 5 winners are, and we're going to pull the winners tonight at the end of the stream in like about a half an hour or so. 5 winners are going to earn or win 10 downloadable content codes. Each of them is worth like $5, and they're going to be able to get some high quality music and sound effects they can use in their games. So go ahead and go over there and sign up for the giveaway. And I'm going to play a sample sound here. And let me pick a different one. We're going to go to the graveyard. So here we go. I'm going to be quiet now so you can listen to the sample here as it plays, because it's pretty cool. There you go. That should give you an idea of it. So go sign up for this giveaway. Get this thing on Steam. Again, it is free. So you can't go wrong with free. By the way, who was that? Where's that? Dungeon of Terra says, I just want to say your content is awesome, dude, and has really helped me as both a player and a dungeon master. Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate that. I literally do what I do to help people, help dungeon masters and stuff like that. So I appreciate your saying so, dude. It's a graveyard boss battle, ASMR. All right, let's hit some more questions here. We got a half an hour to go. I can feel it. We're in the home stretch. Usually my monsters switch to another target when one target is downed. Is it okay to just keep hitting them? I worry my players would get mad and I'd feel guilty. So the key here is you need to role play your monsters. What would your monster do? Now you, as the dungeon master, know that somebody's going to cast healing word or somebody's going to feed them a healing potion and they're going to get back on their feet. You know that as the dungeon master. Your monsters might not know that. So you want to role play your monsters properly. So if you have intelligent monsters, they're probably going to attack people that are the most threat to them. So if somebody goes down and isn't moving and somebody else is still attacking them, the monster's probably going to go over there and face off against the person that's still attacking them. However, the moment a player goes down and then another player casts healing word and that player gets back up again, an intelligent monster is going to be like, ah, okay, I see what's going on. Now we have to confirm the kill. We have to make sure that somebody stays down. So as soon as that has happened in an encounter and you have intelligent monsters that are going to put those two pieces together, your monsters now have every reason when somebody goes down to stab them a few times to make sure they stay down. At that point, you are not using out of character knowledge. You are 100% role-playing intelligent monsters. Now, stupid monsters might not recognize that, and they might not be able to put that together. So make sure you're role-playing properly. That said, if you have a monster like a ghoul, what is a ghoul's motivation? They want to eat your brains. They want to eat your face off, rip your intestines out, and eat them like spaghetti or something. I don't know. Ghouls want to eat you. So if a player goes down, a ghoul is going to grab you and drag you away to eat you, while the other ghouls attack the rest of your buddies. So that is role-playing a ghoul and its motivations. So, and I don't know if ghouls are actually intelligent. I would have to look at their stat block. But even if they were a dumb creature, they would still eat you. If you have something like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, what is a Tyrannosaurus Rex's motivation? To eat you. So it's not going to stop attacking you when you go down. When you go down, that's when it's going to grab you in its mouth and run away. Because it has its meal. It doesn't got to stay there and get smoked and smacked on by the other adventurers. No, it killed you. It got its meal. It runs away. It gobbles you up and eats you. Have a nice day. So as long as you're role-playing your monsters properly and you're not using out-of-character information, there's nothing wrong with having a monster or an enemy attack somebody who is down. It all just depends on how you're role-playing it and whether it's justified or not. And honestly, I will often, especially in cases like this, where there might be some confusion, whether I'm using out-of-character information or in-character information, I will sometimes verbalize my rationale to my players. I will, I might say something like, okay, the Tyrannosaurus Rex downed you and he really just wants to eat you and that's his real motivation. So yeah, he's just going to grab you and run off. I might literally say that aloud to my players so that they understand what my enemy's motivation is, so that they know that I'm not using out of character knowledge. Sometimes I'll just say it outright. That way there's no chance for misunderstanding and for them to feel like I'm like just intentionally out to get them. I'm really just role playing that monster. So hope that helps a little bit. How do you handle Curse of Strahd helper NPCs without them feeling like DMPCs? So one of the things that I will often do in my games is when the players have got an NPC who is literally going to go along with them on adventures and fight with them on adventures, I will often have the players run that NPC in combat. I will tell them, we use D&D Beyond. I'll just say, hey, here's a link to, or here's the name of the NPC. They have a stat block. You can look them up on D&D Beyond, and then you have their stat block and you run them in combat. Boom, done. There we go. So a lot of times that's what I'll do. We recently had a one-shot game with some of my moderators, and they befriended a Zorn. A Zorn popped out and was like, ooh, you're taking my gems. And they're like, here's some more gems. And then they had a persuasion check. And they convinced a Zorn to fight on their side and betray its like kind of master, promising that they'd give him more gems. And so they got a Zorn to fight on their side. And I told my players, hey, you guys, so since the Zorn is fighting for you now, I want one of you to run him in combat. And one of the players volunteered and he got his stat block and then he ran him in combat. Here's the thing. As a dungeon master, I don't want to run the good guys in combat. I much prefer to only run the enemies. I want to run the enemies and run the enemies only. I don't want to have a DMPC. I don't want to have an NPC. I don't want to have a hireling. I don't want to run any of the good guys. I try to give those all to my players so my players can do that. For my youngling group, they have an intern. They're running an AC Inc. group. So they have an intern who's basically kind of like a hireling. And one of the players runs, the intern's name is Tangle. And so he runs Tangle in combat and everything. I have nothing to do with him. I don't care. So basically that player has his PC and he's running the hireling. So he kind of has two PCs, kind of. The hireling's not quite as powerful as a normal PC. We're using the sidekicks rules from Tasha's, which are actually pretty decent in my opinion. It's one of the few things from Tasha's that doesn't suck. So he's basically running two characters, kind of, because I don't want to run I don't want to run the good guys. I'm the bad guy. At least when we're in combat, I want to run one side and that's the bad guys. So there you go. Oh, the music is still off. Thank you. I'm going to turn that back on. I do want the music on. Yay. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate that. I do care about that. Yeah. I just forgot to turn it back on. Is it okay to take the rolling of death saves away from the players, in your opinion? Well, I sure hope it is, because I roll death saves in my groups. So I sure hope it's okay that I haven't committed some moral sin that I'm going to lose my soul to, like signing away my soul to the devils of the nine hells or something, because if it's not okay, then I'm in trouble, because I do it myself. I want to limit metagaming in high tension situations. That's exactly why I do it. That is 100% the exact reason that I do not allow my players to roll their death saving throws. I roll them because this is what I have observed happening. Players down at 0 hit points. He rolls a death saving throw. It's a success. The other players are like, oh, he succeeded. Okay, he's doing okay. Their turn comes. Well, you know what? He succeeded once, so we don't really got to heal him. I'm probably going to go attack the bad guy because he's doing okay. And then the next time turn comes around, it's a success again. Oh, now he's got 2 successes. He's going to be fine. We don't need to worry about him. Let's just leave him down and let's attack the bad guys, right? And the next turn comes around and it's a failure. Ooh, he failed. Oh, crap. We should probably start thinking about helping him, but he's got 2 successes. So let's just see what happens next. Oh, he failed again. Oh, crap. Okay, guys. He is 1 failure away from dying, so somebody should go over there and help him. And then somebody goes over there and helps him. 100% metagaming. 100% metagaming, changing your tactics in battle and deciding what you want to do. Even if you're not consciously doing it, you're subconsciously doing it. You absolutely are. And so the way you solve that is you don't have the players roll their death saving throws. The dungeon master rolls them. Nobody knows how many failures and successes you have. And guess what? When somebody goes down, almost always in my groups, somebody's trying to go over there and help them because somebody just went down to 0 hit points. They could be dying. We don't know. We should help them. So yeah, I do the same thing, dude. And that's my rationale for why. I think somebody once told me that they had stated that they would roll the death saving throws themselves as the dungeon master. and then somebody online was like freaking out and saying, ah, those are the players' dice rolls. You can't take away the dice rolls from the players. That's not fair. They had like a hissy fit or something. Like, I'm stealing your dice rolls away from you. Okay, whatever, dude. It's like throwing a temper tantrum over a well-justified rule change. Okay, whatever. Okay, got that. Let me see, where are we at? We're at the rant lives. Look how big my cup is. Dang. And it's gone. We're out. What are the best free homebrew resources? Well, George, it's funny you would ask that. I have a website, thedmlair.com, where I have tons of 100% free Dungeon Master resources. There's lots of adventures over there, tons of stuff. In fact, every single Friday, except for one Friday a month, over on my Twitch channel, we get together and we create Dungeon Master resources together, and then I put them on my website 100% free for anybody to use. So there should be a link there from one of my moderators that you can go check out. And also I have a newsletter as well. If you sign up for the newsletter, then you will get an email every week with more free Dungeon Master resources. So I'll plug my own crap because every single week pretty much I create more resources for Dungeon Masters 100% free. I create videos for free. I do live streams for free. I create adventures and other things that you can use for free. I'm like the king of free. I just give tons of crap for free. So there you go, man. You're in the right place, buddy. All right. We got like 10 minutes left. Oh, we got to do our giveaway. We got to pull the winner for our giveaway before the stream ends too. Has a player ever caught you off guard to an extreme? I mean, there's always going to be moments where I'm not expecting something. But has it been so extreme that I didn't know what to do? I'm sure it's happened. I just don't know offhand. I don't remember a lot of details. What would be a good module to run for 9-year-olds? Or is it still too young for them to play D&D? No, that's not too young to play D&D. 9 or 10 years old is probably about when kids are starting to mature enough to play D&D. That's probably a good age to start playing D&D. I can't really recommend modules to you because I haven't read all the modules. I don't know them well enough. You probably want to pick a module that's kind of easy. You wouldn't want to pick like Tomb of Annihilation or Curse of Strahd. Those are pretty challenging modules. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is not too difficult of a module. You might take a look at that. And that's a fun module too. It's a very, very fun module. So I could definitely recommend that one. I don't think there's anything inappropriate in there. Most of the modules don't have inappropriate stuff in there for kids. I mean, there's gonna be violence, of course. You know, it's Dungeons and Dragons. There's gonna be violence. The whole game is built around violence. So like if you feel that that's inappropriate for young kids, then obviously the whole game's inappropriate, you know, because it's about fighting monsters, you know. But I think Waterdeep Dragon Heist is a pretty solid one. The starter sets are probably pretty decent too. Lost Mines of Phandelver, the D&D starter set. The starter sets are usually kind of dumbed down a little bit for new players. So those are probably a good place to start too. Yeah. I'm running out of juice. What's the best module to start with? I don't know. Start with Into the Fae, my Kickstarter. Link below. That's the best module. My daughter started playing at 8, was DMing 3.5 by age 9. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Someone recently produced a D&D inspired system for kids. Oh, that's interesting. It'd have to be really young kids though. Like, I started playing D&D with my daughter when she was like 10 or 11. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like, you don't need a different system for kids. Once they get to like middle school age, they're intelligent enough and mature enough to be able to play the actual D&D system. You don't need a special system for that age group. The only thing you're going to adjust are things that you as a dungeon master can adjust. Like, there are certain themes and different things, you know, that I would not put in my game for children, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like, I'm not gonna, like in my youngling group, I'm not gonna have like, I don't know, say a succubus or something trying to seduce one of the player's characters, because that would just, not for kids, dude. I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? But that's something that I control as the dungeon master. I don't need a system for the kids. I can use D&D and just, you know, modify the themes of the game in a way that's more appropriate for children, you know what I mean? I don't need a system for that. Now, if you're talking about like super young, like 5 or 6 or something, well, yeah, the game rules are pretty complicated for that age group. Then you're probably gonna want something special. But once you hit around age 10, middle school age or so, like, yeah, you don't need a new system. You can use D&D. Kids are smart enough at that point to catch on and figure it out. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm trying to drink coffee. There's nothing. It's literally empty. I have water. Storm King's Thunder. Storm King's Thunder, it has that one chapter that's just stupid. It's literally like it's like half campaign setting. It's like, hello, we're going to give you a brief description of like 50 different cities and locations in the north. And then your players can wander around across the Forgotten Realms, along the Sword Coast and the north. And they can drum up adventure and excitement, and you can run different things for them. So it's like 50 different locations or cities with little tiny plot hooks, but nothing really developed for you to actually run. You have to actually make those adventures yourself or something. So when I saw that chapter for Storm King's Thunder, I was like, really? Come on. Like, is that useful information? Sure. But that's more like an adventure idea. You didn't actually give me an adventure. I have to create the adventure myself. You know, and I bought a module so I wouldn't have to do that. And then the other thing I don't like about Storm King's Thunder is that there's a point in the module where there's like 4 different places you can go, and you don't have to do all 4 of them. You get to pick the one you want to do. I think there are like 4 different like giant camps or something, and you don't have to do all of them. You just do one of them and that's it. So it's like there's a substantial amount of that book, that module, that you just don't use. You're never gonna use it, you know? So it's just kind of like taking up space, but it's not actually, it's not technically fluff, but it's not useful, you know? So it almost feels like a way to, but why would you pad a module that way? Why would you pad a module with, I don't know. I think somebody was probably like, you know, hey, this is a great idea. We'll make adventures that you never have to go on. It's like, if you choose this way, you don't have to do these things. If you choose that way, you don't have to do these things. Oh, it gives players choices and stuff. And it's, you know, open-ended and it changes. And somebody probably thought this was a good idea. I don't like that. I would much rather you just create a module where we kind of run all of the adventures or something. Yeah. So I was considering running Storm King's Thunder, and my plan was basically to take those 4 adventures and just make them so that they might get to choose which one they go to first. They might be able to go to them in any order, but to kind of make them all required adventures. And then I would just like increase all of the encounter challenge ratings to the ones they go to later to make it more challenging for them. So that was kind of my thought on how to adjust that. if I did end up running it for my group. I didn't, but that was kind of my thought as I was kind of reviewing that module. Did it again. I did it again. All right. I did play Gygaxes Against the Giant modules. They're horrible. The Against the Giant module that is published in Tales from the Yawning Portal are hot flaming messes. I did not like them. My players did not like them. We ran the Hill Giant setting as written in the module, and we ran the Frost Giant Glacier one as written in the module, and there were issues with all of them. It was really bad. Some very glaring issues, I might add. Like the Hill Giant setting, the actual fortification, the corridors were too narrow for the Hill Giants. And so the Hill Giants were basically stacking up single file, and they couldn't fight like two on a player. It was like always one-on-one single file. And it created all of these choke points that my players were just demolishing the Hill Giants because of these stupid choke points and how poorly that dungeon map was designed. So we did the first two as written in the module, and when we got to the Frost Giant or the Fire Giants part, I'm like, we're done with this. We're done with this module. I'm going to homebrew my own Fire Giant part of Against the Giants because we're done with this. So yeah, I did run a couple of those. I did not think they were that great. There were glaring issues. My players did not like the map. They're like the Glacier one. They're like, this map sucks, man. This is too crazy and complicated. So I don't know. Yeah, those are my hot take thoughts on Against the Giants. And I've ranted on Against the Giants before. It's not well. There are just so many. There's like just yeah. It's frustrating. Okay, we're gonna draw the winner to the giveaway. Woo! All right, first things first. We're gonna stop that. We're gonna go over to here. So for folks who have not entered the giveaway yet, tonight's stream is sponsored by RPG Sounds. They are an audio software that you can download for free from Steam. And basically, you can take an existing audio and sound effects library and use it through their program. They also have downloadable content that you can get as well. And it's, like I said, it's free. You can get it. You can use it. It's pretty cool. They have an audio room where you can like your players, online players can join it and they can hear your sound and music and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty cool software. So tonight, the giveaway, we're going to draw it right now. But if you have not entered the giveaway yet, you can go ahead and do that. 5 people are going to win 10 each downloadable content codes to get music and sound effects from RPG Sounds. So go in there really quick and enter the giveaway, and then we're gonna do the drawing, and we're gonna see who our winners are. Whee! All right. Thank you, moderators, for the giveaway draw reminder. I would be lost without my moderators. I could not run a stream without my moderators. Sometimes I'll watch people streaming on YouTube or somewhere else, and they like don't have moderators helping them, and I'm just like, I don't know how you stream without a moderator team helping you. It's like, I don't know how you do this, dude. You're some level of genius beyond me. Anyway, let me go in and we'll draw a winner here. All right, you guys ready? Has everybody entered the giveaway? It's not hard. It's very, very fast. Pets affect action economy. Keep that in mind. Yes, they do. They reduce my action economy because I'm paying attention to my cats. Maddie Thing, what's up, dude? How you doing? Fireball. Thanks, Deceiver. All right, here we go. Let's do this. What's up, Emma? How you doing? All right, drum roll. We're drawing the winners.
Drawing the winners now. Thank you very much.
Oh, this is taking a long time. Come on, Gleam. You can do this, Gleam. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Let me just double check some things here. We got it. We're good. Ooh, very nice. Just want to verify. Looks like want to make sure we have all the dudes. Nice. Dude, we have check this out. We have 2 winners from Brazil. That is so cool. Nice. Okay, so here are the winners. We have 5 winners. We have Tank 2 Assassin, Gabriel Santos, Dan Bayer. I don't know how Dan won. But he won. So Dan Bayer won. And Christian, I don't know, from Georgia. I don't know how to say your last name, dude. I'm going to totally mess it up. So Christian, you won. And Everton Moreira da Silva, you won as well. So Everton Moreira da Silva. And I probably said your name wrong too. So sorry, dude. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. You got the winners. I will be emailing the winners to give you your downloadable content codes as well. I will get you hooked up and we're good to go. So we are done. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're done for tonight. Reroll for Dan's win. I know. How did look at my moderators. All of my moderators are saying to reroll for Dan. Is Dan here to defend himself? Oh man, my moderators are ruthless. Dan is one of my moderators too. My moderators all just want to like get on Dan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. I'm finished. I'm tapping out. Have a nice night. What is it, Friday? So yeah, have a nice weekend and we'll see you later. I stream every week on Twitch. So if you're not with me on Twitch, there's a link probably somewhere around there and you can come join me on Twitch. I'm only on YouTube like once a month. Mostly on Twitch. So
bye, people. I'm going home now. Bye.
Oh wow, Joe. Hey Joe, thanks for the super chats, dude. I missed one for you. Thank you for your last super chat. I missed it. Sorry, but I'm leaving now. I do appreciate it though.